Oh my God. We always make these mistakes, but don't you just love it? All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for popping over. Happy hump day. Now, before the show, hello, Jeff. Hello. I hope I'm gonna say it right. Jose, Mr. Flynn, much love. Much love to you guys who turned up. I believe yes, Paul is here. Hello, Paul. I know you've been looking forward to this show. First, before I bring on Nick, I want to address a couple of things. First of all, I want to address not the sun video, but the UFO seen at the volcano. Now, guys, I am gonna apologize if I wasted your time and you guys watched this video and saying, "Hey, man, you're showing me a glitch." Now, I honestly don't think it's a glitch, but too many people out there are saying, too many of you guys are looking at this saying, "Yo, this is a glitch." So that's where I want to say I don't believe it's a glitch. You guys believe it's a glitch. I'm not doubling down on the video at all. So, and the second thing I want to address is I don't know if you guys have known what's been going on in Brazil about the flooding. I believe it's in the southern part of Brazil, but anyways, my heart goes out to them people. I did a short today about the alligators swimming around on the streets that have been flooded, and also those guys are facing piranhas. Along with the piranhas are actually swimming around in the streets as well, and they're facing a lot of hard stuff. So my thoughts are with you guys out there. Now, without any further ado, we got a show for you guys, man. Now we're gonna talk about World War II German technology, which the only thing I know about is the bell. So we have Nick over from Cosmic Twilight, and he will be joining us as soon as I click this button, guys. Here we go. Let's click the button. Ba-doom. There you go.
What's up, brother?
So,
how's it going?
How you doing, man? Nick is also a 420 dude. So, guys, show him much love. I am not going to be partaking because I think I overdid it on the 420 show. So we have to somebody has to stay sober for this, eh?
I'll do my best, mate. I'll do my best.
Well, Nick, where do we begin with this?
Right. Okay. So today's topic is about German flying saucers. I'm gonna refuse to use the N word, the NA word, because the algorithms don't like that, as my channel specifically deals with that topic. So what I want to do today is lay out a foundation of what this conspiracy is, because it is all over the place. If you're going to go onto the internet, you're going to come across anti-gravity flying saucers and Maria Orsic, the esoteric side. But in fact, the conspiracy goes back a lot longer than that. So it goes back to the end of the Second World War. So what I'm going to do today is lay out the foundations for all of you, because it's a multi-layer conspiracy and very much inaccurate information I'm coming across. So I'm going to bring up a video and I'm going to show you what I've done for the past over 10 years, because the internet only gets you so far with information. And what I wanted to do is to find out where the stories come from. Where did it all originated from? So let's bring up a video. I'm going to show you the books I've collected.
Do you have control, or do I need to pass over control?
I'm going to bring it up now, hidden. Right, do you see that?
Yeah, I do. Oh, good.
Yeah. Click on it. It might come up. There we go.
The miracles of technology, mate.
Look at that, man. That's a good start, mate. We're on a good start. Right. So this is just a handful of collection of books I've collected over the past 10 years from all over the world: Germany, Finland, America, everywhere. And well, some of these books cost me well over £150, euros, dollars. So this is just an idea of where I'm getting my information from. I'm going right back to the end of World War II. I also have documents and sort of CIA documents as well, and FBI documents, which I'm going to go through. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. So you can see how much research I've done. So I've come out of the internet to a certain degree. I do a bit of research on the internet, but I wanted to find out whether or not if there's any validity to this story of German flying saucers. So let's get out of that. Hang on. Let's get rid of. There we go. Thank you.
See?
We're all getting there. So I must stress for this time during the Second World War, the Germans were extremely technically brilliant. I mean, really, really brilliant. I mean, the Americans took over 1,600 Nazi scientists, technicians, and went straight into America straight after the war, which was Operation Paperclip. So the Americans and the British, the Allies, knew they were building what we call miracle weapon systems. These were way advanced. I mean, especially when it comes to like radar and stuff like that. So before we get into flying saucers, I'm just going to bring up an honorable mention of Victor Schauberger, because he keeps on coming up about Nazi flying saucers. I said the end. Oh no. Okay, German flying saucers. Bleep it out, man, if you want to. Let's bring up.
I did. I tried to.
Can you see that? Is it up on screen?
Yeah,
fantastic. Right.
It's a nice beard, man. You know, he looks like he could be Corbell's grandfather, maybe his father.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I mean, it's the new style now these days, isn't it? That beard. I can't grow a beard. I've got a wanker's beard. It's just like a little stubble, you know. I can't grow anything. Anyway, back to Victor Schauberger. So Victor Schauberger keeps on coming up for the German flying saucers for some odd reason. Just as a basic background on him. So he was a naturalist, a forest caretaker, philosopher, and inventor. Born in 1888 to an Austrian family who worked in the lower forest of Austria. So he was born in the forest and living with nature. He was fascinated by how water flows down the river. And what he found out one day as he was studying water is how fish trout used to climb upstream. Well, say used to push themselves upstream. And what they found out, what Victor Schauberger found out, is that when water flows down the river, when it hits rocks, it doesn't go over the rocks. It actually turns like a spiraling motion, which, if I bring that to there, right, this is what I'm talking about. So this is like a water vortex.
Yeah, I've seen
You've seen this before. This is what's used in a lot of things today. I mean, for instance, I was jet washing the patio today, and actually, when you look at how patios, the jet washer, when you jet washing the patio, it actually turns in a circle like a vortex. Pretty much what Victor Schauberger's method is. So this is what he found out, what trout was actually using to propel themselves up the stream. So this like spiraling motion, almost like a tornado sort of effect, you know, it's almost the same sort of effect there. So he applied that method of water vortex or implosion method into propulsion systems. Now, this photograph here is Victor Schauberger. This is a water purifier. Some people say it's a water generator for propulsion systems. It's not at all. This is a water purifier, and inside we'll have copper tubing. Copper is used a lot for magnetic, like conductors and stuff like that. So that's what was basically inside this. It was almost like purifying the water. So that is what he created in the 1920s. Now he was asked.
Sorry, I just want. So when you're saying about he used magnets, would he be experimenting with a form of electromagnetic energy?
Not really, no. He wasn't dealing with magnets as such. No, Victor Schauberger. This is the misconception with Victor Schauberger, because he's linked to the Vril Society and that sort of esoteric knowledge, which is not true, which we'll get to much later. But Victor Schauberger specifically dealt with water vortex. He would use implosion method, which I'll show a video in a minute. Basically, this device specifically, because in 1935 he was asked by Hitler to join a program to develop his natural way of propulsion systems, which was using water vortex. So he created this in the 1930s called the repulsion. And inside this was basically, it's like a flying device, and there's been very speculations whether or not it actually worked or not. But this is an actual real device that he created. This is actually, we could go back. This was actually the real device opened up, and inside you've got these copper tubings that will access flow of water and air and according to some reports, this device actually levitated and actually took off and hit the ceiling. Now, there's no photographs, no documentations about it. It's just claims and stories. This is what you will find in Hidden. Could you just put my video up for a minute? Got my screen up.
Da-da!
Are you there? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong bit. Sorry. So Victor Schauberger's method of flying saucers was really popularized by this book. Cover that name up there. It's called UFOs, Secret Weapon. And this in here basically details the flying disc program and Victor Schauberger's method of being part of the German flying saucer program of building flying saucers. This is actually kind of inaccurate to a certain degree. Hey, Ollie, how's it going, bruv? How's it going? So, yeah, it's speculation whether or not this actually flew or not. But he did work for the Germans in the 30s to build a new propulsion system using water vortex, not anti-gravity. All right. So let's get out of that and go forward to what we have here. I just got a load of pictures. So I'm just going to be talking about it. So yeah, this is what is in the museum, the repulsion. It's actually missing something on top. They're not too sure what it is, but they don't want to turn the machine on because they don't want to end up breaking the machine because it's turning at such a velocity, it can eventually just break apart because it's, 80 years old.
But surely now, I get that. Surely now they could replicate it. So they wouldn't have to turn on, they wouldn't have to turn on that machine. They could just turn on a replicant.
I'm still waiting for that, to be honest with you, Hidden. I've looked for videos and no one has really... I mean, there's some people that says this doesn't go vertically. It actually goes on a straight line. But who knows until it's actually tested. But regardless, it's quite fascinating to use water vortex as a propulsion system. It really is. So, yeah, that's Victor Schauberger. Yeah, you will see this on the internet. A lot on the internet.
Yeah,
there we go. There we go. So you will see this. Design. That's his design. But this, I'll talk about that photo later. But this is, and this photograph. So the two bottom photographs, ignore. This has nothing to do with Victor Schauberger. The two top photos are his designs. But you see how people just included these other esoteric stuff into Victor Schauberger's method of propulsion, which is not really true. So anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. Victor Schauberger didn't deal with anti-gravity flying saucers. He dealt with water vortex, and there's a whole museum dedicated to him in Austria. So let's move on to the flying discs. Now, you're thinking of anti-gravity flying saucers of World War II. That's a bit later. But believe it or not, from 1945, this was the conspiracy. These were flying turbine-driven aircraft that was developed from 1941 to 45. This is just a basic background of what it actually looks like. So what we have here is is an artist's impression. So don't take this as actual fact because there's many different types of aircraft that was designed and drawn throughout that time period.
But so not necessarily flown.
Not there's no
kind of like how we would have in our modern age prototypes.
Yeah, I guess the way I look at this flying disc is like a helicopter, like a supersonic helicopter, because the blades is almost acting like the propellers. It's just you take that concept and just stuck it into like a circular disc-shaped craft. So here we have a plexiglass cockpit, and right around the central cockpit, you have these fans, propellers. And this was propelled by rockets that were mounted on exterior of the craft. I don't know if you've got any pictures here. Right, so the bottom picture here, you can see you have the two bottom rockets that will propel the craft forward. But most importantly, for the propulsion system, if you just specifically look at the bottom picture here, you'll have rockets mounted, three BMW rockets mounted at the bottom of the craft. And this would actually spin the propellers around in a circle at such a fantastic rate, it will actually levitate like a helicopter, and then eventually you can control going forward with these rockets. So this is the basic principle of what was allegedly built from 1941 to 45. So let's start from the beginning. This is not on the internet. I've looked so hard for this guy, and you cannot find him. So this is the first. So Niels Christinason. Hold on, let me grab my. There we are. I've got so much notes here. I'm well prepared. So Niles Christinason, in early November 1948, in the Brazilian newspaper, he came forward in, I can't remember what the newspaper was called. It's a Brazilian newspaper. So this isn't German. This is all from Brazil. Okay. And there's a lot of information about German flying saucers at that time period. So Niles Christinason was a former spy based in South America. He had an engineering degree and graduated from Poland. He was sentenced for 30 years in a Brazilian prison for espionage because he was part of the German spies. He was actually banged up in a Brazilian jail for a long period of time. And in 1945, two news reporters, David Nasser and Jean Manzon, interviewed him in jail for the first time. Now, Niles claims, whilst in Germany before the outbreak of the Second World War, he invented an engine that ran without oil or gasoline. Just claims at the moment. The flying saucer was circular in shape and it was rotating around a craft. Pretty much what I showed you in the photograph or the sketch that I showed you before. Apparently the disc was radio guided and aimed to photograph enemy territories as an anti-aircraft weapon. Apparently it was tested at the Scientific Research Laboratory in Hamburg. There's not much information about Niles Christinason. I'm still going through his book. In fact, Hidden, could you put me up on screen, mate? Am I on screen?
You said something very interesting. Now you said hold on. You said that the object first was radio guided.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
is that a level of remote control? It was unmanned, was it?
Yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about Foo Fighters. So it's like just trust.
No.
Yeah,
are we looking at possibly the first drone?
Possibility, yeah. I mean, we're going to get, when I talk about Foo Fighters in the 60s, we're going to be talking about probes and stuff like that. So this is just like the crumbs of it, basically.
Paul just said something interesting. Can you see your screen?
Yeah. The Battle of LA was German saucer. Yeah.
What do you think?
That
was towards the end of the war, if I'm correct.
Hang on. Battle of LA.
I love that story. I love that.
It's amazing. In fact, guys, if you see the footage of the Battle of LA, it's not the real footage. I think the negative don't actually exist. So,
the negative went missing, but the photo in the paper is the photo.
Oh, that's the real thing, is it?
The negative went missing. You are. I forgot about something about 1942. Paul says the Battle of
1942. But when we talk about how to do flying saucers, we'll see. But
we'll
basically,
back to that,
Paul. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Man, it's going to go on a deep dive today, man. But yeah, we'll come to it. But if you want to know anything about German flying discs, the propellers, sort of the supersonic helicopters, this is a gem of a book. Cover that name up. This is an absolutely fantastic book detailing everything. So Niles Christinason, I'm still reading through his story, but he claims he built a flying saucer for the Germans in World War II. If we can bring up the photograph, the picture, please, mate. Fantastic. Cheers, man. So yeah, he came forward stating that he built a flying saucer for the Germans in World War II. But there's, again, I think he just said that just to get out of jail, because he said, he said to the Brazilians, look, I'll build a flying saucer for you, but I'm not going to charge you anything for it. And I think he sort of made up the story, possibility, just to sort of get himself out of jail. So if you want to know more about Niles Christinason, check out my channel, The Cosmic Twilight. So we'll go a bit more depth into this. So I'm just going to skim over a few things, because we're going to be here for 6 hours, and so it's technically like a 2-part.
I can't do that long without no weed.
Same here, man. Same here.
Forget buy me a coffee, man. Buy me a joint.
Yeah. Sound, man. Sound. Right. Let's bring up. I think I've got a clip here. Let's have a little look. Yeah, let's bring this up. So this clip is going to go through
you,
some
Jeff.
of the engineers. Cheers, Jeff, man. Cheers. There we are. Right. So yeah, some of the people who are going to be mentioned in this clip is involved with the German flying saucer program, and I will be talking about them. So let's bring this up somehow. Hold on. Where am I to?
There you go.
I'm getting there. Hold on. There we go.
No worries.
There we go.
Hello, you guys, man. Thank you guys for turning up, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Right, can you guys see this?
Not yet. I haven't put it up, but they will.
You're good. Fantastic.
It's up.
Right. So
it's up. It's
it is up. Right, let's do this.
Flying saucers do exist, but they don't come from outer space. They come from Earth and the darkest recesses of military research. It all began in 1932 in Bucharest, when this man, a flight engineer called Henry Coanda, made an extraordinary discovery using a disc-shaped flying object. One of the first people to see Coanda's experiments was then a 20-year-old aeronautical student called Radu Manikatide.
The saucer rose to the ceiling and remained there. I thought it was something extraordinary. It would never have crossed my mind. You know, I was only used to the idea of normal flying.
Young Radu had just witnessed the world's first flying saucer, and this is how it worked. If you draw air down onto a curved shape like a saucer, it follows the surface of that shape. By literally sucking the air from above his saucer so it flowed round and underneath, Coanda found he could both lower the air pressure above and raise it below, causing the craft to levitate. This became known as the Coanda effect. It's the principle at the heart of saucer flight.
It was a very simple idea, but of course...
Thanks. Have you guys ever heard of this? What was that called? I want to say Rwanda effect, but I'm going to say it wrong.
The Coanda effect. Yeah, Henry Coanda, the inventor. Yeah, but basically the idea is this is just the basic principle of how these flying saucers worked. It's basically drawing air down from a saucer. It won't basically go over the saucer. It'll actually go underneath it. It can actually levitate. There's loads of videos on that's it, the Coanda effect. That's it. There's loads of videos on YouTube. You can find out about this experiment, and it does work. The principle does work.
Is there anyhow? I mean, I don't know if you guys want to see it. Could you just take it back a bit so we can see how the lift was done? Because to me, that reminds me of like is it the Nautilus, the fish in the sea, how it uses the water to propel itself?
Yeah. Do you know what? You're right, Hidden. Yeah, the same sort of principle, almost like the Coanda effect, definitely.
Draw air down onto a curved shape like a saucer. It follows the surface of that shape. By literally sucking the air from above his saucer so it flowed round and underneath, Coanda found he could both lower the air pressure above and raise it below, causing the craft to levitate. This became known as the Coanda effect. It's the principle at the heart of saucer flight.
It was a very simple idea, but of course you had to have thought of it in the first place.
Then something happened that was to change the entire...
So yeah, that is just a basic principle of, I tell you what, we all like watching a bit of videos on this, so do you want to continue?
Yeah. I mean, it's like what he says. It's a very simple idea, but nobody ever thought of it.
This is it. You know, like you said, Hidden, it's like, how come no one's ever reproduced this? I mean, I don't quite understand. I mean, you won't need a runway. I mean, the idea of these flying disc guys, I mean, I should have mentioned this before. You won't need a runway. The idea is you need to scrap the runway because obviously at the time they'll build in, rocket propulsion systems and stuff like that. So you would need like the Messerschmitts and the Luftwaffe. They need runways to actually propel themselves up in the sky. But with these sort of aircraft, you don't need that. You just literally take off vertically, and that is the principle they were allegedly testing at the time. But I'm surprised no one's ever taken that opportunity.
I reckon
Probably
they
just
have.
cost a lot of money.
I reckon
they have.
I reckon they have. They're just not going to say nothing.
We'll get that a bit later, Hidden, when we talk about what happened to Richard Mithai, one of the inventors of the flying saucers. Went into America to the Avatar program, but we'll talk about that later.
I feel like I got a duck with all these names droppings here.
Yeah.
No,
oh man, this is just the beginning, bro. This is you're just like look at the crumbs at the moment. But let's continue with this video.
Higher course of saucer development. In 1939, war broke out, and the world rushed headlong into a search for new weapons and new ways of deploying them. Coander's simple idea was about to have its day. Nazi technology chief Werner von Braun led the development of new weapons from his top-secret headquarters in Peenemünde in Germany. Here, he developed state-of-the-art weapons of terror like the V2 rocket.
This was really the central location from which all projects were run for quite a long time.
What few people knew was that 260 miles away in Prague, the Nazis had an even more secret research establishment and were working on a fantastic new flying craft. And the firm at the heart of these frightening new developments?
Skoda.
Right, we'll stop that there. So, yeah, that is the basic principle of the flying discs, the flying disc at the moment that was built. Now, let's go to... I'm going to bring this back up. So there were 3 models built from 1942 to 1945, and there were other engineers that came forward to join the projects. I'm going to go through the engineers right now. I forgot to show this. This is Niels Christensen's newspaper article from the Brazilian newspaper, which I forgot to show you there. So it is a real thing. And also at the time of 1945, German flying saucers were big publicity in Brazilian newspapers at that time. So you need to bet that as well. So, right, let's move on. These are the engineers that were involved on these flying discs from 1941 to 1942.
I know that question mark somewhere. I believe you thought Batman. I'm messing. I'm sorry.
It's a Riddler, isn't it? Is it the Riddler?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm sorry. I need to be serious, man. Sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good. So, top left here we have Rudolf Schriever. And to the left, to the right of him, we have Richard Mithai. To the bottom left, we have Giuseppe Belluzzo, and the question mark is Otto Hobbermore. So let's start off with Richard.
Can I ask real quick? Why is that guy in a question mark? Why haven't we got? Is there no known pictures of him?
Absolutely nothing. I've looked head and toe through the bloody internet, through the books, and there is absolutely nothing. He is mentioned in documents. FBI documents, which we'll get to a little bit later. But yeah, I can't find nothing on this guy. Literally nothing. It's just a word and claims, really. That's pretty much it, Hidden, really. So let's start from... Oh, yeah. Okay, these are the 3 models that were built by these engineers. Let's just get rid of that.
Let's pull that up.
So we've got Model 1 that was created by Schriever himself, Rudolf Schriever himself, from 1941. And then the second model is where the other engineers came forward, like Otto Hobbermore and Richard Mithai came in to build the second model, which was pretty much the same craft. And then all 4 scientists got together by 1944 to 45 to build the V7, which is the Model 3 that you see here. So let's start from the beginning. This guy, Giuseppe Belluzzo, born in 25th of November, 1876. He was a mechanical engineer and a politician for the Mussolini regime, so he is Italian. I should mention that. In 1899, he won a reward for his studies in hydraulic turbines. Came forward in an Italian newspaper called Gialli d'Italia on the 25th of March, 1950, claiming he designed a flying saucer for the Germans. Now, what people would say on the internet that he built the flying saucer, and that these are talked about in books, which I'll show in a minute, but his claims are saying that he just designed the flying saucer and then the Germans perfected it. Okay, so this is the original newspaper from Giallo d'Italia from the 25th of March 1950, where Giuseppe Belluzzo claims he built the flying saucer. Remember, this is rotation. So with Victor Schauberger, what we're talking about now with these flying discs is all to do with rotation. I have absolutely no idea what all this is. Head hidden. Do you know what this is, mate? I have no idea.
Okay, let me
get my science hat on and let me tell you, because I've got a pigeon brain when it comes to this. I haven't really looked
I can see some of them. It's talking about axles, so I would say like what you're saying, but it looks like to me, I know the word, a gyro. It looks like a gyro. They're using something in the center to create the energy to make the force of the spin on the outside.
That's right. And also,
isn't that kind of like what? Isn't that kind of like the Tesla design with a gyrosphere? There, I said it right.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, the gyro. Yeah, I mean, I'm really not too sure, to be honest with you, the concept of this. I mean, I haven't really looked into the scientific detail of this design or this layout here, but I would imagine at the top here where it says B and A, it looks like there's some sort of propulsion system. Like, see the one, you got a 2 here. Possibly.
I gotta say, Paul, I gotta say, hold on. I just gotta say to you, Paul. So was methamphetamines. Because we know our old pal Adolf liked them.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the video of Hitler at the 1936 Olympics? And he's on drugs and he's like gurgling like that. He can't stop moving. Absolutely. Yeah, it's quite amusing. But yeah, this is the basic principle of what he came forward with. I'm not too sure. I will go in detail when I do an episode dedicated to Giuseppe Belluzzo. Here is another excerpt from Flying Saucers. Is another excerpt. But so at the time, Giuseppe Belluzzo was quite popular in March. See, this is the March 29th. This is 4 days after he came forward in 1950. So he's very popular at the time. And I think what I've been reading through the books, and I think they're sort of overhyping of what he's saying, basically. And I think it just got a little bit out of hand, really. Oh, that's a bit odd. I forget that one. Again. So yeah, these are just details of various newspapers and articles that came out from March and April as well.
Did he draw that diagram himself?
That is just an artist's impression. A lot of these designs I'm about to show you, especially these flying discs, are not from the engineers themselves. They're just artist impressions, basically. But they were there when they were interviewing the engineers and actually draw out what the engineers thought what they actually built. So, yeah, we'll get to this at another stage on Cosmic Twilight. So let's move on to this guy. Rudolf Schriever came forward 5 days after Giuseppe Belluzzo came out in a German magazine called Der Spiegel. So he came forward on the 30th of March, 1950, claiming that he designed a flying saucer that looked like that.
Well, hold on. Let's pull that up.
Can we see that there?
Wow.
Yeah, so this is an artist impression from Der Spiegel magazine. This is March 31st, 1950. And the idea, we have a plexiglass cockpit, the guy standing up, which I don't think that's realistic, because you can be flopping about everywhere if you're flying around in that thing. But again, the plexiglass cockpit, and you've got the rotating fan around the axis. Here's the rockets to propel the blades in a circular motion, and you've got the rockets to propel the craft forward. And yeah,
have you seen what Paul has written?
No, I haven't seen chat, mate. I've got my notes and everything.
Okay, he said, I think they may have used counter-rotating disc, the Windshurst machine. I'm sorry, my pronunciation's awful, and a Tesla coil on the top of on top to create an electromagnetic vortex.
I haven't come across that. That sounds like the anti-gravity flying saucers, to be honest with you. These were nothing specific of anti-gravity. It's just a new method of propulsion. The idea of when you look at it, I mean, I've read through all the books that details what the engineers are actually saying. It's nothing to do with electromagnetics, stuff like that. It's literally just a supersonic helicopter. The idea is just sort of like a prototype, really. Just to see if these things will fly. So there was nothing spectacular about this, because apparently the first model that was built by Shriver, it didn't work that well. I mean, if think about this, a helicopter, as it's rising, it's not really stable. The controller of the cockpit is really, you know, if you look at videos of controlling a helicopter, you really got to keep that control steady. So if you've taken that principle and put it into a craft like this, it's going to be unstable, I would imagine. It would just be like flopping around everywhere, like, you know, bouncing up and down. So apparently it didn't fly that well, according to reports, and eventually ditched the effort. Here is another artist impression of what the disc looked like. Again, you have the fan propellers going around the axis. But as I say, all these flying saucers, flying discs, I should say, look absolutely different. Here's another artist impression. Let's turn that around. There we go. So we have 5 different types. And through Der Spiegel, the magazine, they produced these many different artist impressions. Some of these are taken from the internet, but a lot of this came from that magazine. So again, it's that basic principle. And you can find these as toys from the 70s as well. People. Yeah, you can, yeah. So this is the first disc that was produced. So let's move on. Oh, here's that. This is the actual newspaper article from 1950. And this is the artist impression here. Again, this is from a book that came out in the 70s in regards of this technology. And this is where you get Victor Schauberger put into this, because Victor Schauberger apparently was part of this. It's like, no, he wasn't at all. There's actually no mention. It's just the internet sort of making up stories. So this was the disc that I showed you. Here's the second model. You had Otto Hubermore and Richard Methe join the projects to build this craft. Now, apparently it was a bit more stable, but it wasn't really efficient enough. So they ditched that from 1942 to 43 to build this. Now, as you can see here, you got here Paluzzo, Shriver, Methe, Discus. So this was all 4 scientists. Remember those 4 engineers I showed you, the one with the question mark? These are all these together to build this machine. Now, this is a discus-shaped craft. So the ones I showed you, I'll describe them as a disc, but this is a discus.
What's the difference?
It's more oval shaped. You see, it's a bit more. It's got more of a curve to it. It's a bit more solid. The other ones were more or less flat with a single propeller blades. Okay. But this, thin basically. But this one's a bit more oval. Now, what's different about this? I don't know if we've got a better picture of it. No, let's go back to that one.
That looks nice.
Okay. We'll get to that in a minute, Hidden. Don't worry,
man. You're like the guy that rolls the joint and then says, we'll smoke it in a bit.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I'm going to show you all the Haunebu flying saucers soon, man. Don't worry about that. We've got a lot of good
what? Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah. This is just the beginning, bro. This is just the beginning.
Oh, there. Paul's coming up.
So what we have here is
Paul, you want to come up here?
Nah. They built.
Okay.
It's up to you, man. You can bring them up if you want. I don't mind. So this here is a discus-shaped craft. And in here, you have 12 BMW turbo engines that were going around the craft. So instead of using the propeller blades, they would use these jets instead. And these were 12 of them mounted on the exterior of the craft. And apparently this flew on February of 1945. And here, apparently, don't take this if it's right or not, but this is actual photograph of it tested above the Baltic. Now, it rose to an altitude of 38,000 feet on the first test flight, and then the second test flight rose to 80,000 feet. Where these flying saucers went after the war, who knows? It's claimed that these were destroyed. Some say they went into the hands of the Soviets. It's all speculation, man, but there are no actual photographs, unless you think this one's real, documents, blueprints to prove.
Well, what do you think? You researched this. What do you think? Do you think that's a real photo or someone's impression?
To be honest with you, Hidden, with all the books I've got here, it's quite clear that there's a lot of photos are fakes, especially when we come to the anti-gravity flying saucers. Okay, with being a conspiracy theorist, I have to look at both sides of the story. I have to look at like the science side and the conspiracy side. But I'm not saying this is science, but what I'm saying is what the internet is saying and what this books are saying. So I'm trying to go back to the original source and find where these photographs come from. If there's any validity to it. And as you will see, as I go through this presentation, it gets a bit less and less credible as it goes along. So, but in regards of these flying discs, do you think the Germans would develop it? I would say yes, because it's a very simple design. They had the budget for it. The only thing is lacking of any evidence. These are just stories and claims. I mean, we'll get to the CIA documents in a minute. So it is a possibility, but the fact is, there's no. You would have had some scrap of evidence for it. But bear in mind, these flying saucers were built in Prague airport. And the Americans and the British were doing regular bombing raids at the time of 1945. So they could have blown up the factory. Who knows? It's just all speculation, to be honest with you. So this might be a real photograph. Who knows?
Well, they could have blown up the factory to cover the tracks that they took the tech.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you see this photograph online, you'll say, oh, that's an anti-gravity flying saucer. It's not. This is the V7. This is the artist impression. Is the discus shaped? And you can see you got the 12 engines that propel the craft up. So yeah, this is what they would nickname the V7, I should say. The Germans call it something different, but it's the V7.
What do they call it?
Shaped. I can't pronounce it in German, mate. There's so many German names I can't pronounce.
Paul, you want to go for it? What do they call this in German, Paul?
Oh man, I don't know. I tried to learn German words, man. I just can't bloody do it. I use Google Translate for my translation. So if you see this photograph online, guys, this is the V7 that was tested in 1945. Again, so Rudolf Schriever immigrated to America in 1950s. Apparently, he worked as a truck driver for the Army, the U.S. Army, and then died in 1952. But he claims his plans were stolen in Germany of the occupation of the Soviets. Who knows?
Jeff's got the German name for us.
Oh, is it? What do you say there? Read it out.
Z-Fly 7.
Z-Fly 7. Nice one, Jeff. That's awesome.
Oh, that's it, man. You see now 10 people's left. I take it they were German. Don't do it, man. Sorry.
Oh, man. That's cool. That's cool. That's all right, man. So yeah, to the right, Richard Methe, he immigrated to America in the 1950s, where he joined the VZ9 program, the Avro car. So that's just speculation as well. Giuseppe Belluzzo died in the 50s. It didn't really come forward with any sort of further information in regards to the flying discs. And Otto Hobbenmoor, just no information whether or not he's existed. So it's all just speculation, guys. It's all just speculation. Here is George Klein, who also claims to build a flying saucer for the Germans in World War II. This is joining the Rudolf Schriever, Otto Hobbenmoor programs as well. Here is the... Here we go. So yeah, here is the original.
Does that say Prague?
Yeah. First flying saucer tested in Prague of 1945. Now, there's some misconception about that because the first test flight was actually in 1941, not in 1945. But in fact, if you go here are some declassified documents.
Oh, we love declassified documents, and they're blacks. Makes you always wonder what they have blacked out.
I know. It's all the names and everything. I mean, this is how you can tell it's an original document because, like you said, Hidden, it's all been blacked out. It's all grainy and stuff like that. So on here it is dated. This is the Central Intelligence Agency from 1952, and is in regards of. German engineers claiming to build flying saucers. So I've got to read this out. I'm going to be absolutely terrible at this. So George Klein, a German engineer, stated recently that through many people believe that flying saucers to be a post-war development, they were actually in the planning stages in German aircraft factories as early as 1941. Klein said that he was an engineer in the Ministry of Speer. In 1942, he was the Minister of Armament and Ammunition for the Third Reich, and he was then he was in Prague on 14th of February 1945, where the first experiments of the flying saucers began. And this is from 1952 CIA document mentioning German flying saucers. Let's go forward here and let's have a little look. So there are some documents to say, look, there are German engineers that built flying saucers during World War II. But like I said, these were turbine-driven aircraft. These weren't specifically anti-gravity. Yeah, in here, I'm not going to read this all because I'm a terrible reader. This just basically describes, if you want to pause it and have a look for yourself. But in here, it mentions about the craft and how big the craft was, how well it flew. So there's just all speculation, guys. You know, there's no evidence to back up whether or not these discs were actually created.
Oh, who are these files from? Are they FBI files?
No, this is CIA. This is CIA files.
CIA files.
Yeah. So let's go. So yeah, that's George Klein. So he came forward stating how he was involved, but again, it's just claims and not really much evidence. So moving on, this is where it gets interesting.
Before you move on, Paul, I think maybe you should hit up Nick over at Cosmic Twilight, and you guys should chat, because he's saying he's got the PDF files of the articles and a lot of other stuff related. You probably have the same thing, but because I told you before the show that Paul's very interested in this topic.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes 2, 3, 4 heads working in the same direction is better than one. So okay, I'm going to shut up now. Back to the MC. Man, MC Nick.
Cheers, bro. So this guy, Joseph Andreas Epp. Let's just skip forward. Let's have a little look. There's so much information, man. It's just it can't possibly stored in my head. I need to write it down. Let's have a look. Yeah, all right. So Joseph Andreas Epp, he was a Luftwaffe pilot, engineer, and inventor. Claims his plans were stolen for the flying discs that I showed you, the Rudolf Schriever discs that I showed you earlier. Just a basic background on Joseph Andreas Epp. He was fascinated by aviation and aircraft. He developed small modeled aircraft when he was a kid and a teenager. He was just fascinated how aircraft flew. Because bear in mind, this is in the 20s, so aircraft was getting quite advanced, especially in Germany at the time, 1920s, 1930s. Eventually joined the German Air Force, became a Luftwaffe pilot, and he wanted to learn about how aircraft flew. So look here, and he saw I think I got a photograph here. Yeah, it's another photograph of Joseph. Hold on a minute. Right. Yeah, hold on 2 seconds. This is the Focke-Wulf.
You gotta be careful how you say that.
It's F-O. You're hidden, mate. It's F-O-C-K-E. And I was like, oh, let's spell that.
How are you gonna pronounce that?
Focke. It's Focke, isn't it? I'm pretty sure the German word is Focke. So yeah,
all right, come on.
So this is what Epp saw, the first test flight of this. So this is what he take inspiration of, is the propellers here.
What's that called again?
It's called the Focke-Wulf FW16. Mate, I could go all day here and saying that. But basically, he took this concept of a helicopter, right? Of the Focke-Wulf FW16, and eventually put his design into a flying saucer, which was this. And this was designed in 1939 by Joseph. Now, this taking the same principle of rotating around the axis, but you had a little propeller at the top, and this is the cockpit here. and you've got the jet engine. So it's pretty much the same principle of what Rudolf Schriever and those engineers were building from 1942.
So
but
instead of using the F, you pronounce it as a V. Vok.
no, it's F. Fuck.
Yeah, but
F-O-C.
Tamara's saying, hello Tamara anyway, is saying that you pronounce the F's like V's.
Oh, right.
So you pronounce it Vok.
Vok. Okay.
Are we saying it right now, Tamara? Are we saying Vok?
Vok.
There we go. We get around YouTube. We're getting around YouTube. Vok. See, she spent 7 years in Europe. Tamara knows.
Fair enough.
Tamara's telling you this. She knows, man. Much
It's
love,
gotta
sister.
be right.
Haven't seen you for a while. Much love.
Thanks for being here. Thanks. This is the design he designed in 1939. He brought that plans into the aviation ministry in Berlin of 1941. Okay. So what he's saying is that his plans were stolen by Schriever and them lot, and basically created the flying discs without his permission. So he was real pissed off. We'll get to this in a minute. Actually, no, we talk about this now. Who
did Schriever work for? The guy that he's saying stole it. Was he a German as well?
Yeah. Rudolf Schriever was a German as well. He worked for the Heinkel factory in I think it was Berlin at that time. No, Hamburg. And I should have mentioned this, he worked for the vertical landing and takeoff unit. So he was designing disc-shaped aircraft that actually rose vertically. And he was in the design section of that factory. And a lot of the plans that were bring forward, or these like new inventors will bring their plans to the aviation ministry in Berlin. And Epp here claims he brought his plans in 1941. And then he knew that the German engineers were building these flying discs. There's some speculation whether or not he was actually involved in it. We'll get to that in a minute. But he claims his plans were stolen and used without his permission. He did design this modeled aircraft in the 1950s, which reminds me of the V7 aircraft. You see, with the jets around the exterior of the craft. Now, he said he built this in the 1930s, but this is from 1950. This is after the war. So again, he's saying that the V7 was actually stolen again from his plans, from this concept design. So this is where it's going to get interesting.
Okay.
So yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is a Amiga disc at the bottom, and this is the V7. So it almost kind of looks like the same as a discus, but if you look at the propulsion systems, you've got the fans around the exterior of the craft, mimicking pretty much what the discus shaped is, doing there with the jet-propelled takeoff jets there. Right. So in February of 1945, he sat in bed and he's pissed off. He's like, right, I want my bloody flying saucer. I want to see this, because they're stolen my plans and I've had enough. So according to his book, I don't know if you got me on screen.
I can put you on screen.
It's all right. It's put on small screen. Yeah. So this is his diary, called Die Reality die Flugscheiben, which means the reality of flying discs. Probably said that wrong. But this is his autobiography, detailing his life. This book came out in 2002, but he died in 1997. So it's speculation on the information in this book. But this photograph, this is where it gets interesting. So February 1945, he drives to the testing ground in Prague. He says, I'm going to find this flying saucer. And then he stops the car to check his coordinates. And as he stopped the car, he looks up and he sees this flying saucer. And luckily enough, he had a camera with him and he managed to snap 2 photographs. And this is one of the original photographs. In fact, I need to play a clip because it's going to explain a lot.
You know the clip that you're going to play, is it zoomed in on that saucer object?
Yeah, what I'm going to show you is it's going to show you the actual original photograph, which is is this clip 4. Right. Okay. Right. Let's do that. Do that. That. And that. Right. We'll see that okay?
Dun. Here we go.
Sweet. Awesome. Right. Let's click play. So this is Joseph Andreas Epp. Interview on UFOs, Secrets of the Third Reich. This is pretty much the only interview that he's done. This is a shorter interview, but you can find his long interview online. So let's continue.
For armaments contracts became intense. As a result, like the RFC-7.
Wir haben Transporte gemacht, auch vom Kampfgeschwader 26. Und zwar haben wir
The 26th Fighter Squadron had been ordered to fly from Kiel to Norway in order to resupply the 30 Fighter Squadron, the Bambach Command. On the return flight to Hamburg, I took a model of my aircraft design with me, and taking advantage of the opportunity, actually had it forwarded to Ernst Udet in the Reichs Air Ministry in Berlin.
Zum Abschicken nach zum Reichsluftfahrtministerium nach
Nick, who's this speaking?
This is just the narrator.
Oh,
the guy
okay.
speaking now is he's
The
just
old-
narrator.
yeah.
Yeah.
The old guy that was talking.
Oh, the old guy talking here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Epp himself.
Okay,
He's
thank you.
German. Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that. Epp's he doesn't speak English, so the guy speaking in German is Epp himself, and then the narrator is speaking in German, in English. Sorry.
Dieses Modell weitergegeben.
Udet passed this model on to the research establishment in Peenemünde, where tests were later carried out. Over and over again, I later heard reports from people who were working in Prague on the construction of flying discs, and progress in this field was actually being made. I also knew that Habermohl and Schriever were in possession of my model and had begun work on its practical applications.
Habermohl und Schriever mein Modell praktisch bekommen hätten zum Ausarbeiten, zum Rekonstruieren. Und diese Flugscheibe hat der Schriever auf seine Art, seine Gedanken umgebaut. Während ich
Schriever made certain alterations to my plans, whereas, as I was later to ascertain, Habermohl had remained true to my original design. The second prototype was a flying disc, 42 meters long, and was built by Mita Beluzzo in Breslau.
42 Meter
That's
große
big.
Flugscheibe wurde gebaut durch
42 meters
Right.
is big.
It's big. I'll get to this photograph in a minute.
und Beluzzo. Und zwar in
So about
Breslau.
100,
Und
150
diese
feet plus.
Flugscheibe sollte dann,
Yeah, it's pretty big.
wie ich dann erfahren habe, sollte dann nach Spitzbergen geflogen
This
werden.
flying disc, as I discovered, was flown to Spitzbergen in Norway and should have returned to Rechlin on a directional beam with an unknown transmission frequency and code word.
Für den Sender, nicht, was überhaupt gar nicht benutzt wurde von anderen, sollte auf diesen Richtstrahl die Flugscheibe
However,
nach Rechlin
due to a bad landing in Spitzbergen,
Sie ist aber bei
it was
der Landung in
damaged
Spitzbergen
and was unable to complete the return flight home.
Die ist heftig abgestoßen und konnte dann nicht mehr zurückfliegen. Dann bin ich rausgefahren.
After that, I drove into the hills just outside Prague, where the secret testing ground was supposed to have been located. I had my Leica A camera with me when suddenly I saw such a flying saucer. I was wounded at the time, so I know that it was November, December, although the test flight was not due to take place until the following February. Someone had made an unscheduled test flight, and this is what I saw coming towards me. It had no wings, absolutely none. I took a photo and wound on the film, but it was already directly over me. Then I took a second photo, and I could see that it was a flying gyroscope, a flying saucer.
Eine Flugscheibe.
So there you go. So let's go back to this photograph. Let's just bring it up. Because he wasn't too far from the Prague testing ground, you see. So it's a speculation whether or not he faked the photograph and came back at a later date to actually prove his story. Because in a way, reading through his bibliography, he almost inserted himself into the flying saucer program like 45 years after the war, because he was still building model aircraft in the 50s, but he did not mention anything about being involved or actually seeing a flying saucer. It's only until this interview in the 1990s where it started to get more popular. He started to come out. So, can you guys see the photograph there hidden?
Not yet. There you go.
All right, sweet. Here it is. So this on the original. I never got the original here. Yeah. So this is the original from the documentary called UFOs: Secrets of the Third Reich. You can actually find it on my. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is there any how you can zoom in on the UFO or?
Yeah, I will do in a minute because there's some various photographs I'm going to show you. But if you want to see this documentary, it's on my YouTube channel. It's called UFO Secrets of the Third Reich. So this is just a screenshot from that documentary of the first photograph. And here is the second photograph, which we need to pay attention to. What you have here is the watermark damage. So you see this black fade you can see. That's just... it's been left in moisture and the photograph has just deteriorated over time. So that's what this thing is here. So here is the photograph. Let's take this out. I keep forgetting to take that out. Let's zoom in to this craft. Right. Before chat, you need to pay attention to these trees. This is these branches here, because this is going to become important later, and some of the background here as well. But let's zoom in to this flying saucer. Let's just say,
that looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
But everything looks good to me. I mean, I thought a glitch looked good.
but in all honesty, man, I mean, if you look at it, this is 1945. This was film. So it could be a bird, who knows? But this looks like a discus-shaped craft.
It does.
Now, bear in mind that date. I said that the first test flight of the V7 craft was in February of 1945. This was taken in February of 1945. So, is this the V7 or is it the Houndaboo flying saucer, which we're going to get to? This is the anti-gravity flying saucers. So, is it speculation, man? Is all about, I'm not too sure. But this is where it gets a bit weird, because this photograph has popped up in another book. Pay attention to the branches here, guys, okay? And obviously the flying saucer. Because when I was skipping through my various amounts of books, I've got this book here. I don't know if it got me on screen. Hidden, could you just put me on screen for a minute, mate? Another expensive book. This cost me 150 quid and it was brand new, sealed. I didn't want to open it, but when it comes to research, yeah, I have to get the second volume as well. So this is volume 1, UFOs photographs. Go ahead, Hidden.
I was going to say how much is volume 2, but I thought you don't ask them questions, man.
Yeah, I just go like that and I just hit pay. But yeah, this is UFOs photographs volume 1. Is by Grendel Stevens. Does he ring a bell, Hidden?
No.
Sorry. Yeah, Billy Meyer case. He was very famous for the Billy Meyer case.
Okay.
But a bit uncredible, put it that way. You want to put the photograph back on screen, mate?
Sorry.
That's right.
There we go.
Right. So, as I'm flicking through the pages to page 137, I come across this. I'm like, hold on a minute. I know where this photograph comes from.
Is that Billy Meyer's photograph now? Yeah.
No. This is the this is the EP photograph. But if we zoom in to the description here, this was taken on the 29th of August, 1962, in Toronto, Italy. Torio, Italy, whatever. But yeah, it was taken in Italy by Sergeant Major and his daughter and his mother, who witnessed his flying craft, reflecting solid metallic object that was zigzagging along in silence. Now, see this there?
Yeah.
Put that side by side together.
It's the same damn picture.
To the left is Joseph Andreas Epp, and to the right is what's in volume 1, photographs volume 1. So you tell me, is that the same or not?
It looks pretty much the same.
It looks
just,
pretty much the same, doesn't
it's
it?
just like what they've done is they've enhanced the picture on the right.
To make it more black, the contrast a bit more.
Yeah,
I would
they've
imagine.
enhanced it to make it a bit more sharper, make it stand out. And they probably did some work to it because you see, like in the center of the one that the German guy is claiming is his.
Yeah,
you can see the water damage where there's no water damage there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Because honestly, I don't think anyone's found this photograph, because I looked at it and thought, hold on a minute, this looks really familiar. And I've got those two photographs side by side purely because of the branches. By studying these photographs and really go through it like a fine detail, this is the same photograph. So how did Grendel Stephen get this photograph? And this book came out in 1985. So there's two ways you can look at it. Either Joseph Andreas Epp faked the photograph at a later date, sometime in probably the late 80s, 90s, when he came out in the interviews to present this photograph. But Grendel Stevens, it's the same photograph, looks like it's used the original, but this came out and published in 1985. So Epp could have faked it, or something's going on with them two together corresponding, because this is exactly the same photograph. But Epp has the original photograph because you can see the water damage here. So how did Grendel Stevens get it? Who knows? And
you said Grendel Stevens he works with Billy Meyer.
He worked on a documentary in the 70s looking into Billy Meyer. He absolutely believes in Billy Meyer. I'm sorry, I can't take that.
That says it all then.
Exactly. It's you just got to mention the word Heine Musa, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. It's just a done deal for me. You know what I mean? So
I'm kind of like me and Jaime, we're on the fence like this because Jaime is to me, Jaime throws everything at the window. Some of it will stick, others will slide down. But I think that's his job, isn't it?
I think so, mate. I mean, to be honest with you,
But if somebody does that, I mean, I was watching that German guy how he was speaking, and I mean, well, in the interview, I'm one for looking at body language and things, and the guy seemed like he was straight up. Now,
yeah, he sounds
when you got somebody like see, I don't know if you guys know in the chat, and I don't know if you know, Nick, but did you know that I think it was some Swiss people that sued Billy Myers for being fake, and they went to court.
Right.
They went to court
really?
And they actually won.
When was that?
Oh man, I think it went back in the 70s or something like that, 70s or 80s.
Okay. Right.
I don't know if you guys know about it. Help me out if you guys do know this story. I think it was a bunch of some Swedish people sued him for being basically talking crap, and they won.
Well,
they won. So I'm
not surprised.
Sorry, when you tie your boat to someone that's saying that they believe in what Billy Myers is saying, then you kind of the dinosaur pictures. That was a bad one, wasn't it? When he took it out of the book. Thank you, David. I'm gonna put that one up. So I kind of believe the German guy. I mean, the German guy's picture looks, if you didn't, but you know what? Who am I? Again, I tried to. I put what everybody thinks is a glitch. I think if you look it up about Billy Myers being sued and lost, I think it will be somewhere on the line, just online on the line.
Okay.
All right, let's get back.
Cool,
Let's get back to this, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's again, this photograph just boggles my mind, because you make a good point, Hidden. You would say you would trust Joseph Andreas Epp, because he sounds quite genuine on the interview. But if you read through his bibliography, he says he got involved with Schriever and Hubbermore. He said he saw the test flights being done, and he starts either his family members bought the rights to his writing and his memoirs to actually create a book. But there's a very misconception. If this book came out when he was alive, it might have had some validity to it. But this is the other thing, Hidden. If you watch the long interview of him, it's on Vimeo. It's about 20 minutes long. You will see on the table when he's been interviewed, he has all the books on German flying saucers that I have from the 70s and 80s. So this is what I mean. He could have inserted himself, which sounds like a done deal to me, he inserted himself into the flying saucer myth, as you call it. You know, not the anti-gravity. I'm talking about the turbine-driven aircraft here. That side of the story. It's a possibility, but he hasn't backed up anything evidence-wise. You know, so you have to take it with a pinch of salt. It's just, trust me, bros. But this photograph still boggles my mind. I go back and forth. I'm like, yeah, but it's a really good photograph. But it could have been faked at a later date to say, look, you know, here's a flying saucer. Because how the hell did Rendell Stephen get this photograph in the 1980s when this book was published? So you know those scenarios going around in your head.
Who showed it first?
It would actually be Rendell Stevens.
Because that's interesting.
Because the EP interview came out in bloody hell, it's 1991. That's when the documentary started coming out. So yeah, 1991 is when he was interviewed, and he died in 1997. And apparently, the original photograph has been destroyed. Now, I'm sorry, but if that was exactly hidden. So it's if you look at it as a scenario, he most probably faked that photograph. But how did Rendell Stevens get it? This is it. This is what really like screws with my mind, man. You know what I mean?
It's like the dog chasing its tail.
Exactly. But it'd be good to hear what you think in chat. You know what I'm getting at here. It's just such a mind mess to work with. So yeah, I'll leave that with you.
That's basically it in this game. Is they want you to chase your tails, and it's a bit sad.
It is, yeah, unfortunately, man.
Because there I was defending this guy, and now it sounds like, well, you know, he's read most of the books I read, so he's became knowledgeable about the subject that he could talk with great confidence. Well, when you're looking at it, when you're looking at him, you're thinking, hey, this guy's talking like he knows what he's on about. That's because he's a learned man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it wasn't for the shot of the books on the table, I would have said he'd be quite credible because it's the way he speaks and all that. I know he speaks in German, but it's still like body language and stuff like that. So yeah, it doesn't sound good for Joseph Andreas there because he died in 1997 alone and broke, and he became a bit of a stubborn man apparently. It's just, I'll go into another like deep dive into Epps' story and his life, but it's nothing really to go by except this photograph. So yeah. So he had a friend this was in the Soviet Union that were developing flying disc because they did get some of the Germans, and he was in correspondence with this guy that was exchanging letters in the Soviet Union. And apparently this is a Soviet flying disc that they developed. As you can see this photograph here, let's zoom in a little bit more. You can see the buildings down on the side here, the craft. Again, could be faked as well. I don't know what this is, some sort of platform. These photographs are always grainy. Okay, they're in the 1940s, but you would have thought a bit more. Talk about grainy photographs. We'll talk about how to be flying saucers in a minute. But again, you can't say this is an actual flying disc. But who knows, man? Who knows? All part of the myth. Yeah. So yeah, he was in correspondence with this engineer who worked in the Soviet Union building flying discs. And that photograph is in Hitler's Flying Saucers by Henry Stevens. So let's move away from the flying discs. Okay, so you got the basic concept. Let's just
go to our favorite rock band,
Foo Fighters. Damn right, man. I absolutely love Foo Fighters. Yeah, so this was a phenomena going back in the 1942 to 45. These were seen over Germany and the Pacific Ocean, I should say. The name was given to these as Foo Fighters, was taken from a comic in the 1930s. I forgot to put the photograph of the comic here. But these balls of light were seen to track Allied aircraft. And these will hang on like the edge of the wings and would do these fantastic maneuvers. There's some speculation whether or not these were actually probes, but there's one thing for sure is that the Allies thought that these were German weapons. And
really?
Yeah, and it's actually been debunked, in my opinion. We'll get to that in a minute. but
Okay.
this was definitely German technology, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But let's go to. But yeah, this is just some typical photographs, guys. You've all seen this before. Foo Fighters. These are balls of light that was seen by the 10th Army Squadron. And here's just a newspaper article in regards. So yeah, these.
You know, it'd
Foo
have been
Fighters
funny. You know, it'd been funny if you sloped in a picture of David Grosh. What's it? Not
Oh,
you know, the drummer from
Yeah.
you know the Foo
Yeah.
Fighters. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know I'm
yeah.
going to say his name wrong. What's his name?
Oh man, it's Taylor something, isn't it? Oh,
Never mind. We're getting off track.
yeah. I'll do that for next time, man.
And here's
So,
the most
yeah.
famous Foo Fighter.
Yeah. So this is just a newspaper article from December 1944 in regards of these balls of light seen by the Allied crewmen. Here is a really detailed picture of a Foo Fighter.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that. Let's have a look, man.
So here we have, this. Let's just zoom out just to show you that this is an actual real photograph because it is dated at the top. So it's all dated.
Would that have been taken from a gunner ship?
Yeah, a gunner ship, or actually, no, this would have been a bombing raid. These were bombers.
That's what I meant. I meant like where they sit, because all bombers, they had guns though still.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
No, that's right. I mean, this was taken in Germany in 1943. So yeah, there were bombing raids going on. What does it say?
Wow.
Where in Germany? No,
yeah, it just says over Germany.
Over
Dave
Germany.
Grosh. Thank you.
Dave Grosh. Thank you. So yeah, here is a Foo Fighter. Now, obviously, you got the big.
Here's
ball
another one on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stop the puns now. Come on.
No, that's right, man. I enjoy it. Does this look like it's got a trail behind it or not? Do you think that's some part of the aircraft itself?
I don't know. I'm not going to say that.
The army crewmen say that these balls of light had like a glowing tail. And you would have thought the heat signature of the glow would have been at least leaving a trail. So I'm thinking a possibility that this might be part of the aircraft itself.
See, I don't know if that's part of the landscape, because if you look a bit up, there seems to be what you're referring to as another trail as well.
Yeah.
I don't know though. It could be. I don't know, man. Again, remember, I showed you guys a glitch and thought it was a UFO. So you don't trust me, man.
Yeah, that's cool, man. But nevertheless, man, this is probably the most detailed observation photograph of a Foo Fighter.
I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, and that is taken from Henry Stevens' book, Hitler's Flying Saucers. Let's go on to this FBI document called the United States Strategic Air Force in Europe, Office of Director of Intelligence, the evolution of German capabilities in 1945. I can't believe if I said that right or not. I don't know. But in this, it mentions about the possibility that the Germans were developing probes that were designed for taking down enemy aircraft. Let's go back to this photograph here. Well, alleged photograph. Actually, we've got the document here. I've got the document. Yeah, got it. Right. So in this document, it says here, what would you say that word is hidden? Is that per bombs or poo bombs?
PROO, that looks like to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Pro bombs or something like that. Who knows? But this is referring about Foo Fighters. Occasionally reported by pilots, and the testimony of prisoners of wars and escapees describe these weapons as radio-controlled, jet-propelled, still-nose, short-range, high-performance ramming weapon for the use of against bombing formations. Its speed estimates at 525 miles per hour. And in here, it's mentioning...
I'm going to disappear for a couple of minutes. I need the little boys' room. Not a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
a minute.
That's cool. I'm on screen, yeah, still.
Sorry.
Yeah, sound. That's cool. Cheers, Eden. So, yeah, chat, this is just a document stating in 1945 that there's a possibility that the Germans were developing probes. Now, the Germans at the time described these as tortoise shells. If you're going by the premise of these were probes created by the Germans. So let's just describe this. So these were tortoise shell devices, shape of a tortoise shell. And inside will be like a klystron tube. Now, the klystron tube developed in Germany at the time. Obviously, they're in like guitar amps and stuff like that. But these ones would give like strong magnetic field. And the idea is that they'll send these probes up that would have like a jet engine. This is just like a fake model, but this just go by this premise as this aircraft. Underneath would be a jet engine that would propel the craft up, and inside would be a klystron tube, and it had a specific fuel mixture. I forgot to bring the document, which kind of states that alludes to these probes being developed and used this specific fuel mixture, because as it reached to a certain height in the atmosphere, around about 25,000 feet, where the bomb formations were, or probably a little bit lower than that, it would actually ionize with the Earth's atmosphere, and it would glow various colors: orange, green, yellow. And the idea that these probes will sit at the ends of the aircraft, give off a strong magnetic field, and it will disrupt the ignition systems of the aircraft, causing the aircraft to crash. So the idea, instead of actually shooting the bombing formations from the ground using ammunition, they will send these probes up. They will sit on the ends of the wings, give a strong magnetic field, and it will just disrupt or cut out the ignition systems of the aircraft, causing it to crash. So that was one theory brought up in a book. Hidden, could you just bring me up for a minute? Or just keep it on full screen a minute. That'd be fine. This book here, Renato Vesco wrote a book in 1960s. This came out in This is the original book, got from America. Cost me $130. Yeah, a lot of money, a lot of money. And this came out in 1968. So this is how far back it's going. So Renato Vesco was an Italian engineer, a bit like a Werner von Braun style scientist, but he wrote this book called Intercept UFO, or Intercept but Don't Shoot. And he's detailing Foo Fighters being these probes that were developed to down Allied aircraft to stop the bomb information. Not a lot of information on it at all. These are just claims. In regards of this photograph I just showed you here, and that one, this is taken from a documentary that I'm going to show you in a minute. Yeah, I'll show you that in a minute. Let's just get to this. So I did a video not long ago stating that these were actually Foo Fighters. I'm like, yeah, these are actually real. And then I looked into the books and I was like, no, it's not real. It's actually a fake model. So you will find these models of the Vril, Haunebu, these type of aircraft. I think it's a German toy manufacturer that actually develops Haunebu and Vril models. I don't know if you've ever seen it hidden. Have you ever seen the Haunebu crafts?
Nah,
No?
I basically know nothing about this kind of.
Only
thing I know is probably what the majority of people know is the Bell one.
The Bell. We'll get to the Bell. Oh man, we've got so much to go through. Jesus Christ! Oh my God.
We could do this in a two-part show.
We probably could, man. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, this is what I just showed you there. I'm going to show you where it came from, the documentary, but no, it's actually a fake model, unfortunately. Let's move forward. So, oh no, tell you what, let's play the clip. Let's just get that clip out of the way. We've got here a clip.
And remember, guys, just while he's digging it up, remember, guys, donations do help me a lot. So if you can, please. And if you can't, don't worry about it. I'm sorry, I hate to pass the cap around.
Oh no, it's cool, man. You know, we all need help in our need, man. Yeah, it's all good. It's your channel, bruv. Is this up? Could you guys see this? Yeah.
I got it up now.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so this is from UFOs: Secrets of the Third Reich.
The reason why I'm not bringing it up on big screen is we get around copyrights that way.
Oh, okay, that's fine, man. That's okay. The music.
I
sometimes
thought
I'm a
you
bit iffy
knew.
with.
I thought you knew.
No, I got a massive copyright strike anyway, so I'm more new to this, man.
No, well, if you're gonna play videos, try not to play the full screen, because then that way you can say we're doing it for educational purposes, and try and stop every so often. Like if it's a long video, try and stop in between and yabber over it.
That's fine. Is that all right for you, or can I put it a bit bigger?
No, put it bigger. Put it bigger. As long as our two kisses are in the box,
okay,
then
cool,
YouTube should be fine with it. And if they're not, they're not. Hey,
that's okay. Okay, sweet. Right. So this is taken from UFO Secrets of the Third Reich back in 1994, describing Foo Fighters as frequency probes.
The Allies described the various German flashing flying aircraft that they saw as Foo Fighters, fireballs. The German name for the typical Foo Fighter, however, was Fliegende Schildkröte.
Again, you see, that's where.
Say that when you're drunk a few times.
Fliegende Schildkröte, something like that.
Flying tortoise, because of its resemblance to the tortoise shell on the ground. It had been developed by a specialist technical unit of the SS in the Vienna suburb of Wiener Neustadt. It was, in fact, an unmanned flying probe. Its mission was to fly close to enemy aircraft and wreak havoc on the electrical circuits. In addition, it was equipped with a special type of klystron tube. The SS spoke of death rays.
Right. Guess who that guy is?
I'm going to pull him up. Let's see. George Knapp. Nah, I'm playing.
George Knapp, bloody hell. That, my friend, is Wendell Stevens.
I've heard of that name.
Guy, yeah, the guy who had the photograph in the book. Remember the Joseph photograph? This is Wendell Stevens. This is the guy who somehow got hold of that photograph.
I was a fighter pilot in World War II. I served a career of 24 years as a fighter pilot in the United States Air Force. But I was a young fighter pilot in World War II, and I was a captain in the Air Force near the end of the war. And we began receiving reports sometime in 1943 of Foo Fighters, fireball fighters. They were balls of brilliant light, sometimes brilliant green and sometimes brilliant orange light, sometimes the size of a basketball and sometimes much bigger, that would get in formation with our bombers and stay there. Nothing, you couldn't shoot them down. You couldn't, no matter what maneuver we went through, they stayed exactly in position. I had friends who reported these balls of fire appearing outside of the cockpit of a fighter aircraft, only 10 and 15 feet away. And they did every maneuver they could think of, dives and rolls and everything, trying to get rid of this ball of fire out there. And it remained in exactly the same position no matter what they did. This represented a technology far superior to anything that we had encountered anywhere on the planet before. We thought these objects were being manufactured by the German government because they were our opposition at the time. And we thought they had discovered some new technique because we had already experienced other instruments, other vehicles that passed through the bomber formations at very high speed that also had glowing tails. We had close approaches of disc-shaped craft, not as close as one would like, but following bomber formations. We knew that the rockets had been perfected, and we thought that most of these were simply a further extension of this rocket technology. And we believed that they were all being produced someplace by the Germans.
Oh,
so there we go.
Was that real footage of Foo Fighters, or the program recreating it?
Oh, you talking about that when it shot through the cloud?
Yeah, that there.
No, that's a very old footage. I think I've got it on my email address, mate, because it's quite good footage.
Can we play that again? Here now.
Hang on.
I'm going to put it up on full screen. So we're showing this. We're showing this for educational purposes. No copyright infringement is intended. Computer animation, that one. Okay.
Yeah, that one is. That should be coming up.
Come on, Chief. Hurry up. Come on, Gaza. Spit it out. Come on, mate. You can get me copywritten. There it is. It was just before that bit. That's the problem. That's the problem, Space Cow, with these CGIs, because there's that famous footage of those UFOs flying over the White House. And that was recreated for the program. But it's gone into some sort of legend now where that is actual real footage when it's not. Is that Mussolini?
No, that's the Third Reich right there. Should be coming up soon, Hidden. Come on, Rendell.
Hey, Stu, how you doing, brother?
There we are.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, you might be able to find that Hidden online somewhere. I'll have a little dig. I have seen it before, definitely.
Oh, that looked really impressive for.
Did.
Because I haven't. All I've ever seen is pictures of these Foo Fighters. I have never seen actual footage of them.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? I don't think there's any footage of Foo Fighters. Otherwise, it would be quite popular. I think these are just saying that. At least there's photographs of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At least they're very, very grainy. But something's popped up recently in regards to Foo Fighters. So yes, there's a possibility that these were drones created by the Germans. Possibility they might have created it.
Back to at the beginning when they were saying that they created that saucer to was radio controlled.
That's right. But this was to take hey Stu, how's it going, man? Sorry, I'm focusing on pages and stuff like that, so I don't really catch up with chat. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, it's a possibility, man. It's a tricky one.
Jeff has asked a question.
Yeah,
he said, "Didn't Admiral Byrd find them in the Antarctic?" Are we talking about Foo Fighters? I take it. Do you know?
This is the Haunabu flying saucers, man. This is the bit we haven't got to yet. You haven't got to the esoteric side. This is just like the early crumbs. Yeah, man.
Jeff, all questions at the end.
This is it, because there's one thing I should bring up is the fact that everyone is talking about anti-gravity flying saucers, which is like the main thing you'll find about this conspiracy. But if you go all the way back, like I've done, right to the end of the war, you'll find all this other stuff. That's sort of been pushed to the side, but the esoteric side we'll get to in a minute. Iden, could you just pop up the picture for me, please, mate?
Nothing's there, brother.
Oh, hold on, mate. Oh, I'm an idiot. Hold on 2 seconds.
Don't worry. I'll pull the same stroke. Yeah, the one that you're talking about, Chills, the crop circle one. That guy came out on a TV interview and actually said that he faked it. He worked for a studio. So if you dig a bit deeper, you'll find the interview, because I saw the interview where he admitted that he faked it. Now, you can argue the fact maybe the government got to him and he had to retract, because I've seen that done doing these videos. I seen the guy put out a video of a UFO, and then all of a sudden he's claiming it was a balloon. But when he put the video out, he put it out as a UFO. So who knows, mate? Who knows in this game? Anyways, yeah, sorry, Nick.
Cool. No, that's all right, man. No worries at all. So, Foo Fighters looks like it's been debunked. I don't know if you guys have heard of Professor Simon Holland.
Yes,
and his YouTube channel.
Stu knows him very well.
Yeah, Stu knows him. I'm going to play a video of his because I believe this was Foo Fighters and it was German technology. Explain something. So in the 1930s, the Germans were experimenting with radar. These radars were, the idea is to actually track aircraft, because at the time they were experimenting, the British as well, they were also experimenting with radar, sort of radar dishes. And they have different sort of types of radar. This is, I believe, what Foo Fighters, this is the actual machine to produce the Foo Fighters, because these radars were almost like a laser pointer. So they wanted to find out how far the aircraft, the bombing formations were. So they would point this radar dish, and what would happen is that these radar dishes produce such a strong, I think it's an RAF field, it would actually produce an ionized plasma ball. Basically, it would interact with the exhaust fumes from the cockpit, from the jet engine, and you will actually see these ionized plasma balls. Now, with a radar dish, it's not going to be very stable, so it's all going to be bouncing around and all that. So this has actually been backed up by documentation as well to suggest that what Foo Fighters were just ionized plasma balls from these radar dishes. We'll get to that bit in a minute. Do you mind if I play the video just to explain it? Is Professor Simon Holland, it's probably about 5 minutes, mate. Is that all right?
Yeah, as long as Simon don't mind. You don't mind, Simon, do you? Stu, Simon shouldn't mind, should he?
Because it's good information. This is really good information.
Well, this is for educational purposes, so I know I don't think Professor. Now, is he a real professor? Because Jeff is saying he's not a real professor.
Where are you, Jeff? Simon Holland on his YouTube channel, but who knows? Who knows? Let's bring.
Is he a real professor? He's an ex-BBC. Ooh, nobody likes the BBC. I don't mind the BBC. He would be cool with it. There you go. There you go. There you go. So that pops up. That pops up, sir. So, Professor Simon, if you see it, Stu said you would be cool with it. So we're blaming Stu on this one.
Okay. So here's Professor Simon. So here's Professor Simon, who is going to describe what Foo Fighters were as German technology.
See, there you go, Jeff. You're right, man.
So what's that, mate?
No, keep going. Sorry, I was just
transferred to the Germans. Those nice people begin.
Okay, so what happened? Just a brief background is that the Ukrainians invented the radar, and then they gave that technology to the Germans, which perfected it. So this is what he's talking about.
With the letter N that I can't mention on YouTube, took it on and built something called CW radar. CW stands for Continuous Wave Radar, and it's super powerful. While Britain was sending out little poof, poof, pea shooter pulses, those German chaps had a searchlight beam, which they sent up into the sky, and men turned knobs to try and find aircraft. The power involved was enormous. Many of them were linked together. They had 5 or 6 of these giant mattress antennas, all linked together, all putting out vast amounts of RF frequency in a searchlight, looking for planes in the sky. There was one radar on the outskirts of Berlin that was so powerful, it illuminated the night. Well, it didn't really. Oh, I'm exaggerating. I'm being over-enthusiastic, Simon. Calm down. But actually it did, in a strange way. Continuous wave radar does light up the night sky because it produces plasma. The German,
and that's what we're seeing in the sky at the moment, which is called the glow, which I'm going to do a video on, which are just these glowing lights that you just see in the sky. It's very, very strange, but we'll continue.
The ones that we see like shooting across
sheer power.
No, this is like a big light, orange, green. It could be blue, just sat like on a cloudy day, like there's no light source. It's just like sat there. It's a very strange phenomenon that me and Mum have been seeing for the past 5 years. Just occurred out of nowhere. It's just like, that's a bit fucking odd.
See, I always thought now I see videos of them, yeah, and I always thought those were the greenhouse lights, because they put different color lights at night in the greenhouses to help the plants grow.
No. This is, I mean, I live like in a good, decent amount of field, you know, like in a good little village. So we have no like sources of light where I live, you know, for at least 5 miles in each direction. So to see a big glowing, I'll send you a photo, Hidden. It's so odd, like a big green glow, just like sat with no light source projecting. It's just like it's so weird. It'll be there for like 20 minutes and it'd be gone. Like it'd be like 3 in the morning, probably like 9 o'clock. It really depends. We haven't seen it in a while, but it's only the last 5 years I've noticed it, which is a bit odd, but that's me rambling. But have you seen it before?
Sorry?
Have you ever seen it before? Has the chat seen anything like that?
Have you guys ever seen these lights in the sky? See, while I wait for them to answer, see, I saw a video where this light was in the sky. And these guys, they actually got in their car, they filmed it. They got in their car and they said, look, we're gonna see where this source is, because the light's it's stationary, it's not moving. And they went, and then when they got to it, it was a greenhouse. It was, I mean, a massive greenhouse, and not like your ordinary greenhouse. It was massive, but you know,
I mean,
Space Cow says he's seen it.
Yeah,
and he says he has photos of them too.
Yeah, I've got loads of photos of him. It's so strange. It's say almost fire. Yeah, could possibly. Yeah, I mean it is cloudy when you look at it, so it's a tricky one. But yeah, it's like a big glow. Like it could be orange, green. It could be various sorts of colors. Which I'll try and dig out a photo and we'll show at the end of the show. But we'll continue back with Professor Holland.
An energy to bounce off things in the sky. While in Britain and America, we were looking for pulses in higher frequencies, magnetrons making microwaves, bouncing off and coming back, where you'd send out a signal, stop it, and look for a return. The Germans just went, brrr. And that was actually an early directed energy weapon. The Germans knew that a searchlight beam of directed energy could knock out an airplane's electronics. And in 2 German laboratories, one based in Berlin and one in Dresden, they experimented with directed energy weapons, firing at Allied planes to knock out their motors. And some of the times it worked. Allied planes flying over or near both Berlin and the Dresden lab reported strange things. Magnetic compasses going wild, radios failing, and this was all reported back to the Ministry of Defense in Britain. And at the same time, something really strange was seen in the sky. Let me paint you a picture. Thousands of Allied bombers all flying over Germany with hundreds of airmen all looking out into the distance in case a German fighter was going to come and blow them out of the sky. Eyes in the sky, looking for things that nobody had ever seen before. And what did they see? Foo Fighters. Illuminated balls of light high up in the air that seemed to be under intelligent control. As the bombers flew, the balls slowly tracked their path. What was going on? The directed energy weapons, and now these Foo Fighters that were seen by Allied aircrew went straight to the top. And Churchill wanted answers. He was so worried it could be a new German vengeance weapon that he didn't know about. So where did the Americans and the British go first at the end of World War II? To the Berlin and Dresden radio laboratories, and took it home to places like Bawdsey Manor, where German directed energy weapons and the production of plasma Foo Fighters were weaponized for Britain and America. The rest is history. because now the truth is out there.
So there we go. Very good video. He's also done a further interview with 2 other researchers who looked into Foo Fighters. But yeah, absolutely fascinating. So for me, I think that debunks Foo Fighters as being radio. It's like a big laser pointer, isn't it? Like radio and antennas that producing a plasma ball into the sky. So for me, that's pretty much a done deal. But again, these probes, it's a possibility as well, because some of the reports, in fact, if you want to know about Foo Fighters, like a real detailed look to Foo Fighters, I've got to do a shout out to somebody. This book here.
Oops, I pressed the wrong button. There we go. We got it.
His name is Graham Randall. And this book here called UFOs Before Roswell, European Foo Fighters from 1940 to 1945. So yeah, Foo Fighters were spotted in the 1940s as well. Massive book. It's over, how many pages is it? It's over 600 pages. Absolutely detailed book going in. So Graham Randall's gone into the actual National Archives and dug out all the reports that have not been released to the public. And he's written it all in this book, detailing a lot of Foo Fighter reports from the 10th Army Division and, well, throughout Britain and America. No, just Britain, because he got the archives from the National Archive place in London. So, yeah, absolutely fascinating. Yeah, if you want a detailed look, get this book, UFOs Before Roswell, European Foo Fighters of 1940 to 1945, and it is Graham Randall, which I'd love to interview him sometime in my show. So yeah, that's Foo Fighters. So I thought I'd just talk about it because we are dealing with technology here when it comes to Germany, really. Again, with like the Bell Project and all that, although it's not really linked to flying saucers, but again, I'll stuck it in there because it's part of the mythology, I should say. Yeah. So that's out the way. Foo Fighters are out of the way. Should we talk about? Let's bring out this photograph. Hidden. I don't know how long you want me to go, but I can skim over a few things. Because this is what
hey man, I don't know about the guys in the chat, and I hope you're feeling the same way as me. This is very interesting. My like I would never have thought that the Foo Fighters would have been some sort of weaponry that I would never have thought that. I would never have thought that they would have been even capable of putting some plasma ball up in the air and making it move, so be able to dodge some of these planes. So yeah, it's kind of like it's mind blowing a bit. So,
it is, yeah, because when you really study German technology, it is mind blowing what they managed to do. I mean, for instance, television guided cameras, the V2 rockets that were sent over from Germany to England. What people don't realize is that some of the V2 rockets didn't explode, so they managed to capture it because the English were going, the Germans were so advanced when in terms of rocketry. They dismantled the tips of the V2 rockets and found these black boxes. And what these were television guided cameras. It was actually a flipping camera, and they'll guide the missile from Germany to England. 1944, for Christ's sake. You think that's just like today's technology. If you go back to the if you go back to the Berlin Olympics in 1936, there was actually the first television. There was a live broadcast of the Olympics, and you would go into the cinemas and actually watch the live performances of the Olympics. But if you have a look at the cameras they used, they were ginormous. They were like coffin-sized cameras. And within less than 10 years, they managed to take that technology and put it into a size of a shoebox. And this is what I mean. Less than 10 years. You think, by the Treaty of Versailles, what it did to Germany, it really crippled Germany to a certain degree. You had to restrict their army, and most importantly, pay back money to the countries that they owed, like France, England, and all that, like repercussions. And it'll be in the billions. So it really did cripple Germany. But you think how far they've got from the Treaty of Versailles, which would have been the end of World War One, to 1939. Okay, this was a broke country. Where did they get the money from? How did they manage to build their army? And then when you do research into it, you go, oh, actually, they were funded by America, English, all over the world. And it's just a story. But bear in mind, when it comes to the technology, America did snag a lot through Operation Paperclip. The British got some, Soviets got some, but I think vast majority of German engineer scientists, these were people high up in the SS that were brought over. I mean, these were people that were tried for war crimes, for Christ's sake, ended up going from Nuremberg to Germany, had new identities, and it's roughly about 1,600 technicians, engineers, and all that. 600 of them went into NASA and engineering side, but 1,000 of them, probably more, went into the intelligence agency. This is where you get to the rabbit hole of the JFK assassination, which was down to the Germans. I mean, you really are bringing in the Third Reich into the fourth, really. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, man. I can ramble on about that. But what I'm trying to say is that the Americans knew how technically brilliant they were, and yes, the Soviets were a threat at the time. So they thought, well, instead of actually the engineers going to the Soviet Union, which most Germans were actually threatened, says, no, you best come with us. But the American says, hey, come here, have a new nice comfy job, new visas. We will say you're not an N-word and all that, And it's just unbelievable what America did. But I kind of understand. Well, if it wasn't defending against the Soviets, you know what I mean?
If it wasn't for the German tech back then, I mean, we wouldn't have the NASA space program.
Yeah, Werner von Braun and Kurt Debus. Yeah, I mean they've got thousands of dead bodies of Jewish slave labor through these guys. I mean, Werner von Braun. Like I said, he was the V2 of the V. Well, he was the head of the rocket program in Peenemünde, which was the V1 and V2 rockets. He was the father of rocketry, really, and he was brought over from Germany to America. And I believe he was part of the secret space program, because what was Werner von Braun doing from the end of the war to 1952 when NASA was set up? So you think about that. NASA was actually a public entity by 1952. So what was Werner von Braun doing from 1945 to 1952? He was doing something. He wasn't just sat on his ass, wasn't he? It was the secret space program was definitely in full swing. And NASA was set up, I believe this, to say, right, all the German, because they were trying to get to the moon, didn't they? And Russia was beating them. Why was Russia beating the Americans when the Americans had the best scientists and rocket engineers to bring them to the moon? But Russia beat them. So that's saying that Russia must have had some bloody good German scientists on their hands. So I believe...
Or they learned pretty quick.
Possibly. But I reckon someone in the intelligence agency, someone at the head of NASA said, right, to the German scientists, you best build a rocket to send us to the moon or you're back to Germany. So almost like a threat. But if you look into what the Germans were doing, like Werner von Braun, Kurt Debus, there's been some other ones as well. They were actually working in coherence with the Soviets. So they were exchanging information. So nothing was secret. I mean, it was just all over the place, really. So it is kind of strange how the Russians managed to get into space with Sputnik, and they put a bloody dog in space, for Christ's sake, before the Americans did, But then it gets to, how did they get through the Van Halen belt or something like that? I can't believe I forget the name of it.
Van Halen.
But, yeah.
Well, I spoke with somebody about this, and what he told me is that, remember, everything on that ship that apparently went to the moon. Now, see, I want to believe they did go to the moon, but sometimes there's things that happen that you say, well, I don't know. So I don't know. But apparently what they did, the ship was covered in gold, and they went through its weakest point. This is what I was told. They went through the weakest point of the belt.
Okay.
And that's how they managed to do it.
Did you say the bell?
The belt.
Oh, the belt. Sorry, I thought you said the bell. Then I was like, the Bell Project. What's that about?
I'm gonna say Van Halen, because I always call it the Van Halen belt.
Parallel belt. I always screw the name up, mate. But yeah, it's a possibility. But that's like 1 out of a million chances. You know, who knows? You know, you can't really see it. It's invisible. They must have got the exact right point to try to get them through point A to point B.
And he also said that the gold that covered it did protect them.
How thick was this gold, man? I mean, if you look at it, there was this. It wasn't long ago. I can't remember who it was, but they had an advanced spacecraft, and they were going to bring it through the Van Allen belt. But it had rubber, it had water between there, it had this insulation, it had like 5 different layers to stop the radiation going through. But it managed to penetrate through all 5 layers and through the humans. But if that did that back then, how come it didn't do it to a piece of tinfoil craft? Because that's what it was when you look at it. So who knows, man? But
see the one thing I can't get over about the moon, with the landing off the moon, is all the plans and all that they did they destroyed it. And I always say, why? This is probably the most of mankind's achievement, or human achievement. Let's not call it mankind. Human achievement for the 20th century. And they destroyed everything. I don't believe that they destroyed it. I just don't believe they're showing it. And the best way to say that we're not going to show it is to say we don't have it. You know, like when somebody comes and asks you if you can borrow $20 and you don't want to say no. So what you say is, I don't have it. Even though you have maybe $50 in your wallet.
I know. It's the balls on the guy when he said that. Everyone must have went. Anyone with a bloody brain cell would go, hold on a minute, hold on, this stuff is not right here. You've lost the original footage of one of the most biggest achievements of mankind, and you said you've lost the technology to go to the moon,
so we can't do it again.
I can't do it again. I'm like, are you just like? And I'm sorry, but if you believe that, you're an absolute moron. Honestly, I'm sorry,
but then you just added fuel to the fire for people who say we never went. Because you can't prove that you went. So
yeah.
That's like me saying that I went to see Van Halen in concert, but I don't have the concert ticket and I never bought a t-shirt.
Yeah. That's a good point, man. I mean, if you look what I was gonna say. I lost the train of thought now. It just went. Yeah. Should we just do you want to carry on with these nasty flying saucers?
Yeah. I think we're dwelling too much on the moon stuff, and people kind of like say, you know what, I don't want to talk about this crap, man. Let's see what the Germans were doing, man.
No, that's
because
cool, man.
It's far more interesting than, let's say, what the Allies were doing, because all the Allies did was make a big ass bomb, drop it on two cities, and said, right, that's created Godzilla.
Yeah.
I'm messing, man.
That's a wicked conspiracy, man. That's wicked.
Well, there's plenty of footage out there. There's one called Godzilla Zero, minus one.
I've heard good things about that, man. I've heard good things.
It's an awesome movie. I think they were robbed at the Oscars. Even though they did win an Oscar, I think they should have won it for Best International Film. That movie is so brilliant. Believe the hype.
Really, is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, man. Good things. I shall keep that on my radar. mate. Do you want to bring up the photograph, mate? We'll just zoom ahead on this.
You're gonna have to, because I think we're still on Simon, Professor Simon.
Oh yeah, shit. Oh yeah, you're right, man. Hold on 2 seconds.
Yes, we are, Jeff. I agree with that. It's mad because you spend most of the time trying to unlearn what they taught you, and it's very hard to do that.
Yeah, but once you got the hang of it, it's easy going, man. It's just once you see the cracks, you know what I mean. It's just like, yeah, you know how the game's played, bruv. But right, so we've had the Schriever and Hubble discs. We had the Foo Fighters and Josephus Andres Epp and all that sort of story. So this is the current day mythology when it comes to German flying saucers. This is what you're going to see on the internet. So what we have here, we've got the Haunebu flying saucer. To the right, we have Maria Orsic. So let's just break down. I mean, what we're going to be talking about is the real flying saucer.
She looks a nice bit of strumpet.
mate, it's going to get saucy. Put it that way.
Oh, yeah,
This is just the
man.
beginning, right? So
Hang
what
on,
we're going to be
guys. Hang
talking.
on, guys.
Hold on. Yeah, so what we're going to be talking about is the Vril Society, Maria Orsic, how Naboo flying saucers, and the Vril flying saucers, and all that mythology that goes along with it, which was pretty much popularized in the late 80s, early 90s. So remember, in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, we've had the idea of these turbine-driven aircraft. So if you want to know where the anti-gravity German flying saucers came from, it was in the late 80s, early 90s. But I need to talk about the Vril, because if you're going to talk about flying saucers, you need to talk about the Vril and the whole concept of that. So let's just go back in time. Just going to real skim through this. So the Vril, it means the life force. It's a bit like chi, ki, piranha. Do you understand what I mean by that, Hayden?
Yeah,
Chi, yeah. So Vril means the life force, like this given life force. The first appearance of this word was from this book here called The Coming Race by Edward Buer Lytton in 1871. 1871, that's how far back it goes. This book is about a traveler who discovers an advanced civilization underground in the mines. This civilization was called the Vril Ya. That was the name given to them, and these people had telepathic abilities and other parapsychological abilities. The chief among them of the Vril Ya used power tools that would use what we call a all-permeating fluid, which was called Vril. This is what they called it. So it was almost like they're using Vril as a source of energy as well. These people, according to this book, obviously is a work of fiction. The Vril Ya could have healing purposes and could also destroy cities. They could destroy things with the Vril power. This book was very popular in the 19th century. In fact,
but like you said, it's a work of fiction.
Is a work of fiction, yeah. In fact, believe it or not, it was so popular in the late 19th century. There was a party held at the Royal Albert Hall in London in 1891, and it was called the Vril Ya Bazaar. Yeah, it was Bazaar means like a party back in the old time. This is how popular the book was, and people would dress up in fancy costumes and celebrating this book. Yeah, this is how popular it was. And do you know Bovril?
Yeah, the drink.
Yeah, the drink. Yeah. Bovril, Vril. The name was taken from that. It's almost a French word, but they put Vril in Bovril. If you look at it, you know what the Bovril looks like.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to Marmite.
Yeah, similar to Marmite. Yeah, so apparently that name was taken and added into a food product. Don't know if it's true or not. But
let's say it is.
Yes, to say it is. Yeah, just for heaven's sakes. Yeah. So yeah, this book came out in 1871, talking about Vril. Skip forward to Helena Blavatsky, the founder. Yeah, she would definitely eat you alive, mate. 100%. Helena Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy. This is a book called The Secret Doctrine that came out in 1888, and ISIS Unveiled, which is a big lengthy book which I saw in an old bookstore, which they wanted £250 per book, and this was the original one in Glastonbury. Yeah, a real old bookstore. It was an amazing bookstore, but yeah, quite pricey. And this book came out in 1877, so this was a few years after Edward D. Lytton came out with his book The Coming Race, talking about Vril. And Helena Blavatsky talks about Vril as the life force as well. I'm just going to be alluding to it. I'm not going to go into a massive deep dive at the moment. I'm just going to skip through the history of Vril. Skip forward to William Scott Elliot, The Story of Atlantis and the Lost Lemura. If I said that right, but this talks about Vril being used to power flying machines. Now, this is a concept you need to grasp because this is part of the German flying saucer program. So in this book, it talks about Vril, the Atlanteans using Vril to power flying craft.
But these are all still works of fictions, aren't they?
Still work of fiction, yep. And this came out in 1896. Here is a French book called Panic in Paris by Julius Sorry, Jules. Can't read that bit there. This is a French author who also writes about the power of thrill as well. And this is a novel that came out in 1910. So we have another mention of thrill being used as a life force. Hold on a minute. I need to skip forward because there is a document that came out in Germany. It's only a 25-page pamphlet, basically. And in here, it details the word thrill. And I keep on seeing this document as proof, as the Thrill Society, which we're going to be talking about in a minute. Can you see that hidden?
Yeah, it's up now.
Yeah, it's in there. Okay, brilliant. Fantastic. Right. Okay. So the amount of people that say, oh, this is the proof that the Thrill Society, Maria Orsic, existed. No, it's not. People don't really read documents, unfortunately. This came out in 1930. And they see this word thrill, and it's a German pamphlet that came out that it details thrill, but it's mentioned in Shiva, the god of destruction.
Yeah.
It's adding mythological stuff into what would be flying machines. It's so ooky spooky, technically. For me, it's just like mumbo jumbo. For me, it just goes like right over my head. I kind of understand like the grasp of it, but it's mentioned Shiva a lot. It doesn't mention the Thrill Society. It mentions the power of thrill, and also mentions the thrill being linked to Shiva, the god, and that to be used for potentially using for machines, for machinery. It's so ooky spooky. I mean, I've only read it once, and I've got like a basic background of it, but it's all in German. You need to translate it. And this is what I do with like pages. If you go onto Internet Archive, and this, I should have mentioned this book, it's called Thrill, The Cosmic Primal Force, The Rebirth of Atlantis. And it's talking about Atlantis as well. So again, it is a work of fiction. So if you look through, this came out in 1930. So you look from 1871 to 1930, Thrill was very much popularized as the life force, being used as healing properties for flying machines. And this leads into the German flying saucers, because thrill is what was powered these German flying saucers. It's such a massive rabbit hole, but people keep on saying this is proof that the Thrill Society, Maria Orsic, was a real society. It doesn't mention anything about the Thrill Society or any psychics at all. It just mentions thrill as the life force. So I just want to get that out of the way, because people keep putting this in my face saying, no, this is real. This is proof that the Thrill Society is real. And unfortunately, they don't translate it and they don't read it because it's all in German. They just, you tend to get those people. But I just want to put that out there just to say, yeah, it's not proof of the Thrill Society. So let's get that out and let's skip forward to. Sorry, hit in 2 seconds, mate.
It's all right. I'm just, because I was thinking, do you think they could be incorporating a lot of ancient history into their fictional stuff? And because even though they're mythologies, I think it was a way of telling stories. And I always believed this when they talk about mythology and stories, that there's a little grain of truth into some of these things. It's just they just in. So could they be taking like what you said, like when they were mentioning Shiva, the destroyer, from Indian mythology, and what we mean is the continent? Or no, India is not a continent, is it? Is India a continent? It is, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Come on, somebody help me out here, man. But when they're talking about this and the flying machines that they did have, because to my beliefs, when I'm looking at the gods and looking at the Indian mythology, I remember all the gods are blue, ain't they? And Asia,
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Oh, I'm such a retard, man, at times. Remember, I put out, never mind. But I'm thinking that sometimes they might have looked at them as aliens, because their gods all had blue skins.
Yeah, I mean, if you've heard about the chariots of the Indian philosophy, in fact, a lot of the German a Third Reich mythology was based upon Hinduism. People like Shiva
Well,
and all that.
even the very symbol is is a Hindu symbol.
Yeah, the swastika. Yeah, because people don't really know that, but yeah, is what the Germans did. Where they just inverted it, just flipped it.
They changed it a bit.
Yeah. This is it. The mythology
Part of
behind that,
Asia.
why they did that.
Sorry.
But yeah, you're right, Hidden. They're taking a lot of these concepts, these ancient mythologies. I mean, in the 1930s, you had Rudolf. No, it was Himmler going out into Tibet and trying to find the Aryan race. Is it the Anunnab? I think that's the name of it. They were trying to find the descendants of the Aryan race, and they believe it was in Asia and in places like Tibet. And they would measure, the people's skulls and stuff like that. There's actually video footage of it. So in a sense, Himmler himself was a cultist. He was absolutely fucking mad anyway. He's an absolute madman.
Well, they took that stuff. They took that stuff very seriously because they were also looking for artifacts. I kind of think though anything that gave them the upper hand, like say example, like when they believed in the Spear of Destiny, they believed in the Ark of the Covenant, and they looked at it because when you look at the biblical stories of the Ark of the Covenant, it does seem to be some sort of weapon. Because it's mentioned in the famous battle with David and Goliath. And they said that Goliath ran into battle with this thing under his arm. But
wow, I always thought the Covenant was some sort of like an atomic bomb, something that will give like mass destruction.
I think it's what Tesla spoke of. You remember he said that he had the end war weapons. He said he developed an end war weapons because this weapon is so powerful that whoever had it, no other nation would want to mess around with.
Yeah, but there's like 7 different covenants, isn't there, around the world? I mean, Graham Hancock. Yeah, Graham Hancock. He went to, I think it was Ethiopia, and there was one in there, and
that would be the original one. That would be the original. That would be the original. That would be, to me, that would be the one, because the story of the Covenant would match, because even though the Roman tapestry shows them with it. Have you ever seen that Roman tapestry? Well, tunnels. You know the tunnels that were under Jerusalem. And the Jewish story kind of says, or the Jewish story kind of says that what happened was they knew that the temple was going to be sacked by the Romans. So they gave it to one of the tribes, because there are 12 tribes of Israel, and the Ethiopians, they are a tribe of Israel, and they've got it somewhere. That's the last. That's the last recorded place that they know it is in Ethiopia. Now, whether it's been taken again, and it's end up, because I think it's in the Vatican.
Yeah, that's the other conspiracy. I was about to say that. Yeah, I reckon they've probably, because they got like documentations down there that is hiding history. I reckon they're like real dirty secrets down there, man. Honestly, down the Vatican, I don't really trust in any sort of, especially them. That's my opinion on that.
But I mean, look how vast on the basement of the Vatican is.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah,
that is huge. And if you go down there, you're not talking about what you're seeing. And I just don't know. The mind's blown. Mind is blown about things, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Covenant, it's a whole entity on its own. I'm not just talking about Indiana Jones sort of, spiritual ghosts coming out. I reckon to guard it so secretly. I mean, I remember seeing the program with Graham Hancock, and the priest actually always dies of like the same disease when they're guarding. I mean, once they're guarding it for life. It's immensely fascinating. But I can't see them taking the Covenant out and moving it when it's been there for like, but apparently thousands of years. Who knows, man? I
do think the Ethiopians would have guarded it with their life, because that, to be entrusted with something like that, it's not a duty, it's an honor. And that's how they would look at it, because remember now, the Ethiopians, they come from the tribe of Levi. They the Levi tribe, which is one of the 12 tribes of Israel's, and yada 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 yada.
I'm surprised the Americans haven't got their hands on it.
62 miles of shells in the Vatican.
What? You're joking? Is that in like separate floors, or is that just like one big bloody corridor? That's just like unbelievable.
See, I just always envision it that it's like an underground basement. I believe there's, for some reason, I believe there's some sort of water supply there as well.
Or some sort of tunneling system. Definitely some tunnels, definitely.
Well, they all would have done that. I think they all would have done that as well, because I mean, I got fascinated into what's his name? The Borgia Pope Alexander.
Okay.
I got fascinated into him and the things that he used to pull off, and so I can see them. I mean, he was the first one, because he was all money orientated for not just for himself, but for the church. The church did profit. He profited a lot, but he was the first one to he put taxes on beards. So if you wanted to grow a beard, you had to pay a tax. And they said it wouldn't fly, and he said no. He said, people are vain. So if you got a beard, it's just showing that you got wealth because you can afford to have a beard.
I see. Yeah, man.
But
Who knows what's going on? Who knows what's going on in the Vatican, man?
Separate floors. Separate floors and catacombs, but supposedly it adds up to 62 miles. Wow.
God knows what they got down there. We'll never know.
I'll tell you what, I'll know when I'm dead. My ghost is gonna go there and check it out, man. Because I want to see if they got that time machine. That's what I want to see. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever heard that story about the time machine they got?
No, what's this? Time machine.
They reckon they got a time machine. And I don't know if you guys in the chat, I know Nick don't know this, but there's a famous picture that they reckon they used the time machine. They went to Christ's time and they took a picture of Christ.
Is that where he's been on that sort of?
He's just like standing there.
Is it a photograph?
Yeah, it's a photograph. It's a black and white photograph. Have you seen it?
Yes. Do you know what? I thought you were talking about it was like this little blanket that had Christ's face on it. Could you remember that? This is like about years ago. But now you mentioned that photograph. Yeah, there's other people as well in the photograph, if I remember.
Yeah. But nobody knows because in this world on the internet, because it's on the internet, doesn't necessarily make it true. Because as you know, and as I know.
Yeah. It's even with the old style photographs of flying saucers back in the 50s and 60s, you look at it and you go, oh man. I mean, for instance, Billy Meyer, you looked at Billy Meyer back in the 70s and 80s, everyone thought that was real. But now you look at it, you go, it's a bloody model on a string. He's using like small models, but he blends it in with the background of the realistic landscape. It's very clever, but now you can see the trick behind it. And we're now with the internet, especially with AI, it's just, who knows, man? AI is just definitely taken over.
Yeah, there's going to have to be some control on that.
Man, I think the control is gone. It's out of hand now. I think there's really it's just straightforward. You think how AI's gone in the past less than a year, and I'm just seeing better and better quality. I said to Matt, a buddy of mine on Terrestrial Materials, shout out to him. He mentioned he shows like AI sort of unbelievable stuff that's just mind-blowing. It was just there was these leaves, and it turned into like an elephant. Just unreal. But I'm waiting for the alien and UFO footage. The one that's going to go, oh my in God, like that is just like the icing on the cake.
Well,
it's coming.
The other day they were showing like how it's really mind-blowing how AI has progressed, because I saw the other day that they showed when AI a year ago and they had a clip of Will Smith eating spaghetti that the AI
Yeah.
did, and it was bloody awful. And then they said,
Terrible.
this is AI today, and they showed like this beautiful woman walking down the street, and if the guy didn't say that was AI, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
I just would have thought it was a crystal clear shot of a woman.
Have you seen the one with Barack Obama? It's a deep fake, and it's got the voice, the characteristic, everything. And he's actually saying, this is a deep fake. Don't trust anything you see on the internet. And it was just like a deep fake of Barack Obama, and you could not tell the difference hidden.
See,
I was like, wow, this is how far. But could you imagine, right? Could you remember? I don't know if anyone in chat remember this. Back in the 90s, there was this apparent sex tape where they were going to get Saddam Hussein, crop his face, and actually have like he was actually having sex with a man. Could you ever remember that story? And they were going to deep fake this actor, and they forced this actor to actually have sex with another man, but they're going to basically deep fake his face and put Saddam Hussein's face on that. Could you never remember that? I remember that story.
No, I
you
don't
can't remember that. Oh man, that's probably back in conspiracy land back years ago.
As far as first time I ever saw deep fake was the famous Tom Cruise ones.
I know the famous deep fakes is the Bin Laden videos when he just gets younger and younger.
Oh,
but that's another. Like,
that's another chat, man. Yeah. Because even I back in the days was pointing that crap out, saying, "Don't my man look like he's getting younger?"
Yeah. His beard is getting better. It's going more like Jeremy Kyle sort of style, and it's getting more. Yeah.
Orwell was like saying, I'm going to grow a beard like that.
yeah. Thanks, Bin Laden. Cheers. But you know what I mean, man? You see videos like that, you're thinking, hold on a minute. But this is going back, 20 years now. We're looking. So it's crazy.
Jeff.
Jeff. Awesome, mate. Awesome. Mate, do you want to carry on? Do you want to sort of get this out of the way?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, let's do. Are you guys in the chat want to go for another half an hour, and then we'll just wrap it up? Because I mean, it's okay. I can't put up some of your comments, man, because YouTube's just gonna say, you know what, man, stop it now. But hey, yeah, okay. Look, do you want me to put up what you've got here on stage?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, we'll just blast through and okay,
right.
so.
I'm going to nip off to the toilet real quick. My bladder is just awful, man.
Yeah, go for it, man. Go for it. So, chat. Let's bring this up. Okay, cool.
This is our buddy from Australia. Like to say hello.
Hi, nice to see you. Thanks for.
Okay, they all want more, man. They all want more. So yeah, we'll go a bit more.
Okay, that's cool, man. Okay, so let's push on ahead. So this is a book that came out in 1960 called Morning of the Magicians. This is the first mention of the Thrill Society. Okay, Thrill Society. I'll talk about them in a minute. Actually, I'll show a video when Hidden comes back. These were psychics that was using telepathic communications. Not specifically in this book, but this is going to be later on. It gets a bit ooky spooky, but this mentions the Thrill Society was using the occult mythology, like we were mentioning about the Spirit of Destiny, the Violet Blackstone, and stuff like that. This was more or less popularized from the 1960s onward from this book here, Morning of the Magicians. Skipping ahead to 1992, this is where it all kickstarts. This is where it gets ramped up into full gear. This is the Real Project that came out in 1990 by Norbert Jürgen Rathofer and Ralph Ettel. These were two Austrians that came out of the Templar Society in Vienna, which allegedly where a lot of these photographs and blueprints, which I'm going to be showing you in a minute, came from. These photographs I'm about to show you came out in the late 80s, early 90s. But nevertheless, Norbert Jürgen Rathofer really popularized the Real Society in a way which I'm going to get to in a minute. In fact, I could.
We're going to put that nice young lady up again.
What's that one here?
I know you got some sexy pictures of her now. I'm playing.
Yeah. So let's just go back a little bit. Okay. This is called the Vril Project. If you go on to Internet Archive.
Hey, John.
Hey, man. Let's. I tell you what. I'm just going to bring up the Vril Project because it's worth looking into if you want to know about the esoteric side of the flying saucer program. Let's just have a little look. I tell you what, I'm going to skip that because we're going to be here for absolutely ages. So let's just we'll continue with this. So yeah, if you go onto the internet, guys, and type in the Vril Project PDF, you will see where the Maria Orsic story, the Vril Society, and the How Naboo flying saucers. Let's get onto that because we've been holding on that.
Can you see the chat? Where it says all these ideas like Vril come from old Babylonian esoteric school of thoughts. Is that true?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Babylonian. Yeah, it goes all the way back to ancient. Actually, one of the clips I'm going to play, we'll talk about that. So yeah, you're right, Jeff. Yeah, 100% on. It's such a rabbit hole.
Good night. Good night, Stu.
See you, Stu. All the best, mate. Speak to you soon. So it's such a rabbit hole, man. So this is the Vril Society symbol. I can't find a symbol anywhere in the books I've got when it comes to Vril Society. Like I said, the Vril Society really was popularized in the 1960s. That's where it was first mentioned. So this young lady, Maria Orsic, she plays a big role into the esoteric side of the Flying Saucer program. So let's start off with, I'll tell you what, let's have a little look. Okay, this is gonna okay, right, okay. So this is called Maria Orsic. Okay, she was a powerful psychic medium. She had telepathic communication powers to an advanced civilization 38 million light years away in the constellation of Taurus. And this planet was called Aldebaran. Okay, what does that sound like to you? It sounds like Alderaan from Star Wars, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So in episodes, I'm a big Star Wars nerd. So in episode 4, Princess Leia her planet is called Alderaan, and where Maria Orsic is getting her communication powers from, the planet is called Aldebaran. So Aldebaran sounds exactly the same thing. So you've got a bit Star Wars.
I take it she was out before Star Wars.
Oh yeah. This is the Vril Society began. Sorry, I should have mentioned this. It was an expansion of the Tula Gesellschaft, which was another society set up in 1919 to 1925. You had political opponents like Rudolf von Bottendorf, Karl Haushofer, Dietrich Eckart, Rudolf Hess. These were political and people like officers who'd lost the First World War, got together and wanted to rebuild Germany back into its original dramatic roots. But at the same time, from 1919, you had the Vril Society, which was using powerful psychic mediums to receive communications from this advanced civilization to build flying saucers. This is the concept of the esoteric side of the German flying saucers. If you're going to talk about How Naboo and Vril flying saucers, you've got to talk about Maria Orsic and her 7 gorgeous sisters. But here's a problem. Hidden. Well, this is the more research I do into Maria Orsic and the Vril Society, the more I don't believe it. Because I cannot find any publication, no sketches, no public records of the Vril Society or Maria Orsic. Tino Struckman, who has a YouTube channel called Battlefield, I think it's called Struckman's Battlefield. He's a German researcher who's done amazing work into the World War I and World War II areas of Germany. So the enemy side. Absolutely fantastic researcher, but he's looked into the archives to find the Vril Society and Maria Orsic, because he was looking into the Ananeb, and he says he can't find anything. There's no public record, no sketches of her handwriting. Maria Orsic didn't come out until the early 90s. I cannot find any information from 1919 to 1991, any of that time period. I can't find any mention of Maria Orsic. I'm not saying that she didn't exist, but it's the more I research into it, the more I'm going, hold on a minute, like there's no public record, even the Thrill Society, you know. And this is the problem. You have about 6 different photographs of what Maria Orsic allegedly looked like. If you go onto the internet, all the photos are doctored.
Yeah, they don't look like the same person, do they?
They don't look like the same. I'm going to show you what Maria Orsic looked like. She came from a sketch, which came from the Vril project, and some documentaries that came out in 1990, in the early 90s, and it's showing Maria Orsic. Different photographs of her. You got 6 different, and they all look bloody different. You know, admittedly, she probably looked hot as fuck, but especially that one there, these two. But there's just no publications of her. This is the most funniest one. I mean, this hidden. Do you know Kate Moss, the British model, right?
Yeah.
Someone has literally taken the picture of Hitler, they cropped out his face, put Kate Moss's face on there, and someone is proclaiming this is Maria Orsic, and this is the photo. To the left, you have Hitler, and to the right, you have Kate Moss's face. God. And this is put off as real. And I'm like, this is just, if you
That's Kate Moss,
go through, it's Kate Moss. Yeah. Well, it's so obvious. So those who are in America, this is Kate Moss. She is a cocaine habit model from the early 2000s.
Alleged.
No, there's photographs of her, man. Yeah, alleged.
No,
yeah.
We have to say alleged.
Alleged. Yeah. Cut that out. Yeah. So allegedly, she was She's on the high life, man, you know, back in the day. But yeah, that is definitely Kate Moss, 100%. Face cropped onto Hitler, and this is what I got to find on the internet as proof of Maria Orsic. Okay,
so what? There's no documentation. There's no photos. This name has just popped up.
This just popped up in the early 90s. In fact, I can't find any publication of Maria Orsic in the late 80s, because in the late 80s, when all the blueprints and photographs of Houndaboo flying saucers, which I'm going to get to now.
I saw that program.
So this is Maria Orsic in a nutshell. Okay, she was a powerful psychic medium working for the Germans. So she had communication powers to the planet Alderaan to receive communications about building flying saucers, and these are the blueprints that came out in the late 80s from there was an occult society in the late 80s called the Templum Society. I think this was the expansion of the Tula Gesellschaft, the Tool Society, back in 1919. It's just, I think people like far right groups who still wanted to carry on the philosophy of the Third Reich. Apparently, they had all these blueprints, excuse me, of the Vril and Houndaboo. This is what we're going to get to now. This is like the main focus of today's presentation. These documents that came out, I can't zoom in. I don't know if you can see here.
Let me make the screen. I'll make the screen right.
Oh, hold on. No, I got it. Yeah, sweet. So these documents came out in the late 80s, early 90s from this society, the Templum Society. The Vril project, which I mentioned before, you had someone called Norbert Jorgen Rathofer and another one called Ralph Ettel. These two Austrians believed to came from this secret society, this occult society, that rang out these documents here. So this is the anti-gravity Houndaboo and Vril flying saucers, which is caked all over the internet. In fact, the thumbnail for this video is a Houndaboo flying saucer. There's many different types of flying saucers that the Germans built, allegedly built. So here we have Houndaboo 1. It almost looks like the George Adamski. In fact, it is the George Adamski flying saucer. I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, this was produced in 1939. Remember that date, 1939. The
1939.
yeah, 1939. Okay. Take these documents with a pinch of salt. Okay. Here is the Haunabu 2, and the date on here is November of 1943. Okay. So it begs, you need to ask this question: why, if they perfected these flying saucers, these anti-gravity flying saucers, why were they developing turbine-driven aircraft from 1942 to 45? You need to add that into consideration as well. You know, if they perfected these Haunabu flying saucers, when we get to the photographs in a minute, you go, well, it just seems pointless, you know, spending 2 projects. I mean, you look at the end of the war, you know, when Russia was more or less, you know, winning to a certain degree, and you can thank Winter for that fact as well. Where millions of German soldiers were freezing to death. You know, they had lack of food. You know, they were battling -40 conditions, and they had summer clothing on. So the Germans were losing. Why didn't they pick up one of these Haunabu flying saucers with these upside down Panther turrets or gun turrets underneath, mounted underneath here, and use that instead if it was perfected in 1945? Do you understand? It's like questions like that I think needs to be put out there. Here is a detailed of the Haunabu 2. They built 3 of these, well, allegedly 5, of the Haunabu series, which were these almost like carrier craft. Now, the real saucers were fighter interceptors, and these are alleged blueprints. Again, the reason why I buy these books, and I should stress, is I'm trying to find the original source, the best photographs I can find, where these photographs came from, where these documents came from. Is any really decent evidence to back up? And unfortunately, there really isn't. It's just these claims. If someone came forward from the Templar Society and said, right, here are the original documents in all its glory, and then I could say, right, okay, these documents are possibly real. But the document that I showed you earlier, the CIA ones, you know, in regards of George Klein and talking about flying saucers, they had names blanked out. It was very, very grainy. These documents here, you know, it looks a bit, okay, it's a copy of a copy, but it looks too clean. It looks too clean for a document, you know.
Yeah, but
let's just say
it's coming from another society. It's not coming from government.
Yeah, this is it. You know, it's coming from, well, say something public, but where about, again, there's no proof of whether or not it actually came from the society. That's just the legend behind it. There's no real answer to where these documents or photographs came from. This is a 2 seconds. This is a cigar-shaped craft called the Andromeda machine, and inside here you can see one of the Haunabu flying saucers, and on the right-hand side here you can see the vril. You got 2 vril craft. You got sleeping compartments underneath, and these circular shapes here are the anti-gravity drives, tachyon drives.
So that diagram for the cigar-shaped craft, that would have had to been pretty big, because Paul stated that the UFO, the object that's sitting in the middle, that would have been 300 feet in diameter.
Yeah, it goes to if it was the Haunabu 2, yeah, it goes up to 300 in diameter. These were gigantic crafts. The Haunabu 1 was a sort of mid-range, but the 2 and 3 and allegedly 5 were absolutely gigantic, apparently. With Haunabu flying saucers, I'm not ruling it out, but the more and more research I go, did they really develop these, or was it just a story really popularized? And this is why
I'm with you, because that's what I agree. Something that big. Could you imagine the energy it would take to lift that off?
Yeah,
and to carry that much weight in it.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently this was hidden in the what's the big ship? Oh god, that exploded.
The Hindenburg.
The Hindenburg, yeah, the
Zeppelins.
The warehouse in there. The Zeppelin, that's it. That's where this alleged craft was held, because it was big enough to actually hide the bloody thing. But you got to think about this, Hidden. Where are the people that's come forward? You know, this is a gigantic craft. If they built Haunabu 1, 2, and 3, and 5 of the real flying saucers, plus this Andromeda machine, let's say if they built it, there should be more people coming forward. And why didn't they use this technology if it's so advanced?
Unless they killed them.
Possibly. I mean,
Because
yeah, they killed all the prisoners of war.
you look kind of what the drugs lords do. They make them build a tunnel, and then they kill everybody that's built the tunnel.
Yeah. It's all the slave laborers, yeah, because it's long to get the job done. But yeah, I just think, like, in public, you know, we'll get to a document in a minute in regards of anti-gravity flying saucers, because there is one that says there is a possibility they could have built these. Let's just skip forward to, okay, this is the Haunebu 3. This is what Jeff was talking about. This is the big craft, like the real big craft. So this was developed from, I believe, 1944 to 45, but there is a Haunebu 5 apparently that went to Aldebaran after the war with Maria Orsic. Yeah, with this, it says Shriver there, and you see the word there? Is that me, or does that say Shriver?
It looks like Shriver.
But Shriver was part of the turbine-driven aircraft, not the Haunebu. So why is his name on there? Do you understand? You know, I'm finding the little inconsistencies when I'm reading through. So it might not say Shriver, it might be another a German word. But again, it's just, I'm just pointing out things to say, okay, let's just ask the questions. But again, here's another alleged document. So let's get to the photographs. We're finally there, Hidden. We're finally there. So what I'm about to show you came out in late 80s, early 90s from documentaries, 2 underground documentaries that are on my YouTube channel called UFO Secrets of the Third Reich, that came out in 1994. And the one before that in 1992 was called UFO Secrets of German flying sources of World War II. So you can find that on my YouTube channel on the Cosmic Twilight. So if you... Is this on screen, Hidden? Yeah?
Yeah, it's on screen.
Yeah, it's cool. Sound, right. Let's just go this by one and just see if these photographs
these are actual photographs.
Alleged photographs. Yeah, this is I've taken from. This is everything that I can find at the moment. There are more, which I'm going to get through in a minute. But yeah, this is taken from various books, documentaries. Again,
oh, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
That looks like? You know what that looks like, and I hate to say it, the day the Earth stood still.
Yeah. I guess the flying saucer, isn't it? It's more of like a
dome shape, and the dude standing on it. I'm not talking about the Canano Reeves, the day the Earth stood still. I'm talking about the original.
Yeah. You're quite right, mate. Yeah.
But
right, just have a little look. So here's another one.
Oh, that looks a gem, man.
It looks good. The thing is, if it was less blurry, admittedly, it was taken from a documentary, to see the landscape in the background would have been pretty cool. But I like to find the pure photographs, the actual like HD, I'm not going to say HD quality, but better quality than this, because this was ripped from a documentary. Here is another one. I love these photographs, man. These are such gems. So creative.
Yeah, I love old pictures.
Yeah. I like, because it's almost like a Billy Maher style. You've got the flying saucer, you know, stick a little stick figure up there, but you've got the background of the clouds, which really adds depth to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's move on. Right. This was taken from I'll get to that in a minute. That was taken from a book. I'll show you where it came from, because I can't find it anywhere in the early 90s.
And in the bottom corner, is that it flying in the air?
Allegedly, yeah. I'll try to get a better photograph of that. This is a pretty crap one, but some of the photos is going to be grainy. In fact, I'll show you the whole PDF of this in a minute.
That doesn't look like it's that big, though, does it? Is that a person sitting down?
No. This is the disc. You also got the emblem there, and this is just the little cockpit bit, I would imagine, where the person sits in. But this doesn't look too big, mate, compared to this is the anti-gravity saucers, but remember you had the Haunebu and Vril. The Vril was the smaller interceptor fighter aircraft. Excuse me. This is the very blurry photograph. I'm going to skip that.
You can see the SS symbol.
Yeah. So here's another one allegedly in flight. This is the Vril series. Just zoom in a little bit.
So where did they get these pictures from?
It was from the Templum Society. This was is the old society that was from. it's an expansion from the Tula Gesellschaft, that sort of philosophy, but they're trying to sort of I won't say popularize, but it's just like small little cult groups. I won't call them satanic groups, but that you get the idea. Just trying to keep the idea of the German mythology alive, and allegedly that's where these photographs came from. But there's not much of evidence to back that up, mate. To be honest.
So one could go on the side and say, could this be a bit of propaganda?
Yeah, true. Is because the thing is, these came out in books and documentaries. You want to sell a book, you got to really sell it. You're not just going to put small little tidbits. You want to sell the whole package, because you really want to sell it. So, what's more fascinating than anti-gravity Haunebu flying saucers that the Germans built in World War II? Long blonde-haired women, with psychic powers. All these. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's some photographs of her that's in the book. I mean, I can't really show because it shows a bit of nipple. But it's just like it's popularizing this myth. It's just adding on to the conspiracy, which I have been finding out.
Now the dudes in the chat want to see that picture.
All right, hold on.
Ladies. No. We're not gonna go to that kind of show, man. We'll save that for Joe Rogan. He'll show you that.
Mate, I showed that photo on Alien Addict, so it's fine. You can barely even see it. It's just a silhouette. But this apparently is what looks like inside one of these Haunebu flying saucers, allegedly. You can kind of see like the windows.
Yeah.
But this could be a power plant, mate. You just don't know.
Yeah.
You're part of a power plant, because they do have these tile bricks that stop the radiation, which is one feature that is in power plants, especially where the reactor is kept. So I'm just putting it out there. Here's another grainy photograph of real flying saucer. These are legs, landing legs. I think this is like the early prototypes. And there you got the Knight's Cross symbol underneath. This one I like. This is the Haunebu. Now, these Haunebus had a gun turret underneath it. These were upside down Panther turrets, which begs to differ how the bloody hell do you actually, reload these things. Some say these were actually laser weapon systems, but anyway, it's just all speculation.
Could you say like maybe that's where Bob Lazar got his idea that they fly belly up?
Yeah. I mean,
because if you have because it would make putting a gun turret on the bottom would make landing a bit difficult. But then again, some of the bombers had their gun turrets on the bottom. And they made crash landing a bit of a bitch for them.
There's a possibility, man. I mean, I think the idea is that there are actually landing legs that retract outwards. Excuse me. Will have tires underneath it. That is some artist impressions, but again, the thing is hidden. These toy manufacturers that build these Haunebu flying saucers. I'll bring it up in a minute just to show you what it's like. This has been going on since the mid-90s, producing these toys. So it could easily produce something like this, stick a bloody toy figure up in the air with a bit of, nylon string or a bit of fishing wire, and you got to take like a Polaroid photograph or disposable camera, so it's going to be grainy.
It's been done. We've had a recent picture come out of Poland, and the guy admitted that he faked it.
Yeah,
with a toy and a string. It's just a perception of camera. But what are we looking at here? What's this object? Because I like the look of this one, because you got blur motion, so it's like somebody who took the pictures trying to like catch it.
Yeah, I don't know where this was actually taken. I would have presumed in the testing ground, because I can't imagine them flying these flying discs, in public area, especially if they're doing bombing raids of Germany at the time, especially in the later stages of the war. I think
what type of craft would that be?
This would be the Haunebu. So these were carrier aircraft. Okay, these were like the big what Jeff is talking about, the big aircraft, the anti-gravity craft.
That would have been the 300 foot diameter one.
Yeah, roughly about 250 to 300 above that. Meters. But yeah, these were quite large craft. Now, if you look at the tree bush line here, it looks quite blurry, but the craft itself looks quite still. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, it
they
looks
should
like
have had.
it. Well, to me, it looks like the guy's gone up with the camera and snapped the picture.
It does, doesn't it?
Because
yeah.
the object in the picture, or the UFO, or what we're calling, I always say object, it still is not sharp.
Yeah,
But I don't
it's
know. I
still-
don't know. I don't think that's a fake picture. I think maybe the object could be fake.
Sure. I think a possibility, you know, the bushes is moving in the wind, and they've got this stationary. It's like that out there could be like a white backdrop, you know, and they put, you know, some bushes there. Who knows, man? You know, they can just, even that's just like a photograph, and they could put a bit of shrubbery there. I mean, speculation could go on and on and on, but nevertheless, it's still a quite good photograph.
Yeah, I like
And
that
bear in
picture.
mind,
I like
but
that
bear in
picture.
mind, bear in mind, Hidden, this was taken 43 onwards. Even before that, if they built these Hannibal flying saucers in 1939, and we got this photograph, it's too good to be true, not?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think if they're building, I know I'm going to bust a joke here, but I'm thinking if they can build things like that, why the hell can't they build a better camera? But you know, I'm busting a joke on that, because I know they're not thinking about the cameras. They're thinking about getting this stuff up here, and possibly maybe, and this is one of the things that I thought while you were talking, when you were saying, well, where are these things now? I'm thinking maybe they got them hidden because they're worried now with the technology we have now. These things might be capable of space flight. You know, change the material that they used, change the engines or the power system that they're using. And maybe these things are quite, because the design is solid. I mean, when we started at the show at the beginning, if you guys, the guys that were here at the beginning, you showed us the what we said looked like a gyroscope. I mean, that still is in principle the best way to create a kind of, I don't want to say false energy, a self-contained energy.
Yeah. I think the idea of these flying saucers, Hidden, is that these tachyon drives that create a field just a bit stronger than gravity. So the idea is that in that immediate area, I think you're amplifying the gravity more. So the idea is just surfs along gravity. That's the concept behind it. Hans Kohler's tachymeter is believed to have a part in this as well. I've skipped over a lot because
so the way for me to understand that is like they're using the gravity, making it stronger so it will repel the object, kind of giving it a push. Okay.
That's right, yeah. And the idea, when you look at that,
see, I'm not that stupid.
We're all scientists here, we're all scientists. But when you look at it, it probably start like wobbling a little bit. You know, who knows, man? I mean, if this was perfected in the mid-40s, early 40s, sorry, imagine what the technology they have now. If that technology got to America,
oh
who
yeah,
knows,
I agree. I agree with that. And I mean, then when you look at stuff like, well, I ain't gonna go there. So yeah, let's carry on.
Yeah. So this is another picture of the Haunebu. Again, you can see the gun turret right underneath here. Almost looks like the brim of a hat, the way I look at it here.
That's what many people in the chat said.
Yeah,
it's a woman's hat being thrown in the sky
with a gun turret underneath it. Yeah. Here's another photograph.
Well, we've seen pictures of women at Escort. Look at some of the hats they wear. So hey. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
That looks like a hat. Literally, if you chuck that in the air and shot that underneath and put a little gun turret, you could put.
See, now you got. See how bad you guys are in the chat. You got this man questioning his own research. Now he's thinking that what he's been looking at is women's hats. Thank you, internet. Thank you, internet.
There'll be one with some bouquet out of it. I'm like, oh, that's a bloody woman's hat with a gun turret underneath it. It's gonna happen in one day, mate. Actually, tell me, let's go back to that one. This was part of two photographs, which I'm going to show you just a little bit. Where are we to? Right here, am I? Yeah, so this is part of 2 photographs. One is the backup shot of this flying saucer, which I do have. Hold on. I've got so many. Let's just go back. I'll find it at the end. I literally got probably about 50 odd photographs of these flying discs. But this is a guy. This is a flying saucer on top of a tripod, and obviously you got the classic German car with the silhouette of the man touching the tip of the flying saucer. I do have the full background shot, which I'll show at the end. Here is another one. This is the real craft in flight. Again, you've always got bushes. Have you not noticed that? You got these bushes here.
Maybe it's the test area. Or maybe they couldn't throw it high enough in the sky. No, I'll stop it.
There's a possibility, man. I mean, you got to take these photographs with a pinch of salt. I mean, these are really. Oh, this is it's way too grainy. I'll play some of the documentary in a minute. We'll go through that because they're probably a bit more quality than this.
What's the significance of that?
Oh, well, this one here.
Yeah, the symbols. Like,
yeah, the symbol is. Yeah, it's part of the. Do you know it's something called
See, if this was the 80s, if this was the 80s, somebody would have drawn an AC and then on the other side DC, and then we got it.
It's that type of symbol. I don't think you'll be able to see it.
Hold on, let me bring this. I can bring your screen up. There we go. Got
it. Henry Stevens, Hitler's Flying Saucers, is part of the Black Sun. That's it. I couldn't forget. It's a part of the Black Sun symbol.
Oh, somebody did mention that in the chat.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So the Black Sun does play a part in the occult theory of the mythology.
Could you quickly tell myself and others who don't know it? What is the Black Sun? Just
the Black
real
Sun
quick.
was. Yeah, sure. It was based on just a basic background. I haven't got like a massive detail into it, but Himmler was part of like the occult philosophy at the time, and the Black Sun was this like appearing light that the occult philosophy would actually use. It deals a lot with Himmler and his castle. I don't know if you know his 3-sided castle. In the middle, we'll have the Black Sun symbol right in the center. It's honestly, maybe we can probably do like an episode on it if you wanted to, but I'm just sort of briefing over things at the moment. But it's to do with occult theosophy that was brought into the Germans' way of thinking to sort of amplify their way of life. Really, it gets ooky spooky. This is a thing with the Germans, Hidden, is that they've had so much occult mythology into the practices. But the thing is, they put it into practice. This is it. They didn't sort of put it in the background. They actually put it into, I believe, into real fruition.
Well, one of the guys out in NASA, I can't remember his name. He openly practiced it. What was his name?
Yeah. Oh my God, his name's
he would go out in the deserts and do rituals, and he would have parties where he was doing rituals at his house, and he was like wasn't he a rocket scientist? Didn't he actually get one of the rockets to go into space? And he was heavy into the occult.
Oh, what was his name? It's not Kurt Debus.
Nah.
No.
The moment you would say it, I would know.
Yeah.
I think of his name. They actually did a TV show about him as well.
Yeah,
it's actually Jack Parsons. Thank you.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you, Milky.
Jack Parsons. Thank you. Yeah, he is like real mad into the occult mythology. But the thing is, like, they put it into practice. This is like the scary thing. They're like, they're no bullshitting people. You know, they really took it seriously. This is from Secrets of the Third Reich. This is the real flying saucer. You got the legs at the bottom as landing gears, the hatch at the top. Again, these are just like real blurry footage. This is the Haunaboo flying saucer. This is the gun turret underneath. Looks a bit too small for a Panther turret, judging by the scale of the turret itself.
See, for me, I would think Lazard might have seen some of these things and said, you know, the only way they could have flown is belly up.
Yeah.
But
I can't imagine it tilting, though. I can't imagine these craft, tilting to one side. I think it just stays pretty much vertically, I would imagine.
Paul's saying that is the Panther tank turret.
Is it Panther tank turret? Yeah. I believe the real later stages added the alleged laser weapons underneath it. But, excuse me. Yeah, this is the Panther turret that was underneath. Here's another Haunaboo flying saucer. I'm sorry for the graininess, guys, but this is what we're dealing with when it comes to
what do you expect?
Yeah.
These pictures are from what, 1940 plus?
Yeah. Even 1939 possibility. I like this one.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a fake, but
it's
just if you look at if you look at this photograph online, you can tell when it's a bit less blurry. You could tell the features is a bit. It might be real.
They
they
even took the time to get the shadow in.
I know. They take care, mate, with these photographs. To certain,
I suppose if you're going to
like this,
I suppose if you're going to put it in a book, you might as well make sure it's on point.
Yeah. But who knows?
Unlike my man who went to the library and ripped out a page about dinosaurs and said, "Hey, this is one of the photos we got." What's his name?
Yeah,
Billy Myers again.
Yeah, mate. This is from the Billy Meyer archive because Billy Meyer also had contact with the Germans as well, and he had this photograph here of German flying saucers.
Ooh, Billy Myers.
Billy Meyer. This is from the Billy Meyer archive. Remember, he had all his dinosaurs and the alien women. This is from his archive, mate. He actually flew in a anti-gravity flying saucer from the Germans, and went to Mars on it. I'm not joking. This is the story behind it. But what's interesting, this came out in, I think it's in the 80s. These photographs hidden. Could you remember? You know when he brings up the dinosaurs and I don't know if anyone in chat remembers the dinosaurs, the alien Swedish women that turned out to be like pop stars. Because if this came out before the Haunaboo flying saucers, how do they know this was? Oh, actually, no, George Adamski. I just realized the George Adamski photograph of his flying saucer looks just like the Haunaboo flying saucers, but this photograph was taken in Toronto, America, in the 1950s. This was taken by a barber. This was the first photograph. Okay, here is the object here. Now, Haunaboo flying saucers, I'm 50-50 with it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Germans did try to make an attempt in anti-gravity. I'm not ruling that out because how advanced they were. But look at this photograph. Let's zoom in to this flying saucer and you tell me what it looks like underneath it. Can you see? Can you see the Panther turret?
I do want to say that. I do want to say that.
I know.
But then I'm also looking at the distortion on the top.
This bit here, yeah, this is it. Let's go back to the first photograph actually. And have a little look at that one.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah, the pixelation, but you can see there is some sort of dome on top.
Yeah.
It's definitely a dome.
I mean, now we did say that some of these the scientists, they also went over to Russia. Now
the Soviets as well.
The gap between Canada and Russia is only about 6 miles. Well, if you count, I believe that gap is Canada and Alaska, but Alaska is like at the very top end of Canada. If my geography, I didn't even know where India was. So please, my geography could be off, but I think Russia is more closer to Canada.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate.
So if we want to say that these objects could be World War II, then I mean, from the Germans of World War II, then, you know, if the scientists did go to Russia, they could easily fly one over to the Canadian borders.
Oh yeah, easily, especially in a craft like this, 100%, definitely.
And that could be
So
such a good picture because it might not be moving, it might be hovering. Did they
yeah,
have the
this is it.
technology to make them hover?
Possibility, yeah, I would be surprised. But it begs to differ. If they had these anti-gravity flying saucers from 1939, they could have changed Foo Fighters as being anti-gravity little probes. You know, if they perfected the technology, you got to think if they. You need to understand, you know, the progress, you know, the achievement. The Germans used any weaponry they used to win the war, especially from 1944 to 45 when they were in desperate need. You know, they were running out of oil. They had alternative methods of oil by using, you know, potatoes and stuff like that. Yeah, get a vodka. It gets really crazy, but they were desperate in need for armaments and oil. If they had this anti-gravity flying saucer down to a T from 1939, and they had at least 3 models of the Haunaboo and 4 models of the Vril series, why didn't they use it? See what I'm saying, Hidden?
Yeah. Because they could quite possibly have changed the course of the outcome of the war.
100%, yeah. Or unless they knew the war was lost anyway, and they thought, "Oh, sod it, we'll just give up and we'll go off to Argentina, Bariloche, and you know, up in Peru."
Like what somebody rightly said, war is one of the best ways of population control, and being that we know that both sides of the war was funded by a certain group, and we're not going to get into that. But a certain group did fund both sides of the war. That is documented. Very powerful family that belongs to another group of a cabal of people. So, and their agenda is always population control because they are worried. And I bet they're so happy that we have mobile phones now because they're so worried that when the majority wises up, they're going to overthrow them. Just like, let's say the biblical times when they used to, you know, go through and kill the Hebrew slaves because they knew that, you know, a generation will come where they would see how they're being oppressed and they won't stand for it no more. So let's get rid of that generation. Sorry, I ramble on.
No, there's good points here, didn't you? You're making really good points, mate. Who's
this guy?
So this is a aerospace expert called Stephen Nixon. He was the director of National Investigation Committee on Aero Phenomena, NICAP. If I remember,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, this is a government. I won't say a governmental program. I think it was NASA looking into like UFOs back in the day, and he was holding up the photograph I've just showed you. Remember the Haunaboo flying saucer over the guy's house. This is a blow-up photograph of it, and this is from November 13th, 1966. And it says, "Note where what appears to be a tank cannon mounted underneath it." And this is what
it looks more prominent there.
It is, isn't it? Yeah,
it does look prominent. Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah, I'll zoom in. Yeah. So here we have. It looks more of a brim of a hat.
It looks more prominent. There definitely seems to be something there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it looks like they might have tidied it up a bit.
Possibly, yeah. If we got a less grainy photograph of this, I mean, you could probably find that original photograph, this one here, on the internet. It'd probably be a better. I mean, I could have a little look at that and probably do a video on it. But nevertheless, it's quite interesting if it did have a Panther turret underneath it. Kind of shows that the Germans could have perfected the technology and bring it over to America.
We all know this one.
Right, hold on a minute. Where's the bell?
You jumped too forward. There it is.
Yeah, right. Okay. Let's skip. If you want to do it's hidden, if you want, mate, I would rather do another episode really looking into Vril, the Haunaboo and all that, because it's been going along so long. It really needs a deep dive into it.
I was thinking that.
If you want to get Paul again, no,
Yeah, Paul.
yeah, Paul, yeah. If you want to get Paul to like join, and we can have like a little throwback, because honestly, there's not a lot of people I can talk about this to. You know,
Well,
I'm
Paul,
happy to
would
do
you?
presentations.
Well, Paul, would you like to come up for the next show? Yeah, you
Yeah,
just
please, man.
enter in the comments, say, yeah, man, I'm down, or nah, man, I'll be smoking weed that day. And
Come
we
smoke
could
weed with me.
that's what I was gonna say. Come join the party, man.
Yeah, man.
And we could probably are you got any plans for Friday?
Me, no, I've got no plans for Friday.
Well, why don't we, because we've gone past the 3 hour mark, and you know, it's been a very, I mean, I'm not watching the time go past, but it is going past, and we're going to lose. We'll lose. I know we're going to lose the interest. And so let's split it and let's do a second part to this, because
Yeah. All right.
I mean, because it looks like there's some pictures of what the Americans were trying to copy, because I did see United States
The
Air
Africa.
Force.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's another rabbit hole hidden.
Paul's not going to answer us, man. Paul's going to say, you know what, I'd rather not say anything. Same time,
cool, man.
though. Same time would be great. How are you? Would you be Friday about 9 o'clock? We'll kick that off.
Yeah, let me confirm with you straight first thing in the morning, Hidden, and we'll go from there, mate. All right, but I'm pretty sure it's free. I just need to like clarify before I go ahead, but I'll give you a shout first thing, mate. All right.
All right. Okay.
But I'm pretty sure I'm free anyway. But yeah, no, mate, it's been an absolute blast here, and just like a heads up to the people. I'm not really, if you're familiar with my channel, I'm not really comfortable doing live streams.
Well, you did great here, man. You're in good company, because I'm the same way. Yeah, I'm gonna just take this down. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I hate doing live shows, man. But this has been, I really enjoyed this one, because I think I always like to learn, and I learned so much, and it's kind of like, I mean, like, mind blown about the Foo Fighters, man. That it's some sort of plasma weaponry that the Gems. Yeah, see, you did a great job, man. You did great.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you. I hope I laid it out all nice and clearly as possible. Oh, cheers. Thank you. Space Cow. Thank you. Cheers. But this is just like a very basic background. I mean, if you go into my YouTube channel, The Cosmic Twilight, you will see I'll do a bit more deep dive into these subjects and break things up a bit more so you can understand the whole foundation. But like I said, it goes right back to the end of the war with these turbine-driven aircraft, and you got the Foo Fighters, and then you got the Vril Society, and then you got the esoteric side, and then you got the Bell Project, and I've laid it out in an idea to really understand.
Paul, I did tell Nick, didn't I, when we were backstage before the show started? I said Paul's here, and he's really interested in this subject.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it'd be good to have a chat, man. But yeah, thank you.
So
thank you.
I think we do need to do a part two. Because I feel like we've got so far but there's more to go, and which you said. So could we do a part two and just say, look, I'd like to get the part two done as quick as possible, because I know people will say, hold up, man, I'm not one of those guys to say go and watch the first part of the show. Let's go in. Let's get this. Let's nail this. Yeah,
definitely Hidden. Absolutely.
So if you can,
I'm gonna basis, mate.
I'm gonna, on a personal note, I'm passing the cap around, man. If you guys, because I would like to have a smoke with you guys on Friday. If we do the next show on Friday, so guys, please, if you could donate, I'd much appreciate it. I'm not gonna go into my personal crap, but that's all it is. So thank you, and we're wrapping up. So thank you guys.
Can I just do a quick shout? Can I just do a quick shout out? Is that all right? Yeah. So please check out my good friend Matt from Terrestrial Materials. If you want to see all your latest UFO news, he is an incredible knowledge when it comes to ufology at the moment, the current day mythology. So yeah, definitely check out Terrestrial Materials on YouTube. He goes live every Sunday. He's taking a little bit of a break for the next couple of weeks, but when he gets back into it, yeah, it's all systems go. But check out his back catalogue, and please, please, please like and subscribe, and check out another YouTube channel, my great friends Liz and Mark from the Crafty Nihilist. That's the Crafty Nihilist. Liz and Mark, they're great friends of mine. I would go and see them in Glastonbury. I know them personally. They do quizzes every Saturday. It's like sometimes a 4-hour stream, and it'll be a conspiracy quiz, and you can win prizes. And Mark, he does a fantastic talk on all the esoteric knowledge, all the symbolisms, and it's great fun. So yeah, that's the Crafty Nihilist on YouTube. And please like and subscribe for this show as well. That'd be much appreciated.
Well, you don't have to like. Yeah. And hell, you don't even have to subscribe. But you know what? You've done your shout outs, and don't forget, check out Cosmic Twilight, man. Please check him out. Give him some support, man. Please subscribe to Cosmic Twilight, man. He's took the time out, and he's gonna give us a second part, hopefully on Friday. Fingers crossed, because that's kind of my best day too. Because
sweet.
So guys, I'm gonna say much love. And thank you guys for turning up, man. And thank you guys for donating. Thank you guys, the subs. I mean, the mods. Jesus, I'm coming to the end now. Thank you guys for moderating. Thank you, Jeff. Stand-up job. Thank you guys. We're lucky over here because we don't get much trolling, do we? So thank you. I'm grateful for that. And all I just like to say is, remember, guys, the change that we want to see in this world will come from us. So we have to be that change. We have to be that voice, and just a little humanity in this world, because there's a lot of bad things. Prayers to the people out in Brazil, suffering of hell. Prayers to all over the world, because there's a lot of bad things going on in this world at the moment. And, I just wish that peace would reign just one time. Wouldn't it be weird if you just woke up in the morning and everybody was at peace? There weren't people getting hurt. There weren't no wars, no missiles being fired. Yeah. Wouldn't that be? That's my idea of utopia, where we all can just, like how I call everybody my brothers and sisters, because that's what we are. We're all family. We might have different names and different skin tones. We're all family, mate. So on that note, I'm gonna, because I'm not high, I can speak, so I can say on that note, stay blessed and keep safe, and look out for part 2. All right, here we go.
See you, folks.